False, false compared to your current face value. If a particular addition of this, you've got to raise the entire existing footprint. So what we are saying is, look, your goals make sense in here. But the problem do is fall under the backs of the United States as well. You need the federal government, the state government, you need, you know, and down East Coast, you can see there's not much.
Michelle.
I don't know. It's the hour.
Right, New Jersey. Well, fellas, how are we doing? Everything was. I, myself and Matt Doherty, the VA and Paul Lake Monitor. We had a meeting where we had a Zoom conference with the head of the DEP. And I said, we need model ordinances. You can't have every municipality do their own thing. How are we gonna get some uniform outcome in 74 years? And he said, yeah, we're gonna talk to the, you know, that's the other stuff. And so they were.
Have you been seeing what's on the fourth?
I said this
Woman about her parking spot.
my hope is.
My question back to the mayor is.
She's done.
Yeah,
That too.
Right.
Just like the new rules.
So I do think it needs.
The terms that she's saying, which I was like, what is it?
We're nation.
She only gives a designated spot for 6 months.
We're saying you gotta delay it.
No, there's a special, she's not, because she's not a full-time resident.
Right.
She wants it for year round. But we're saying, no, you only have it for 6 months.
Oh, that would
Yeah, that, that's what's being said.
Oh, okay.
But, you know, Warren, the question comes.
Where does she, I wonder what street she lives in.
Yeah, from memo.
Yeah, right. Listen, because you look at my blog, but everything's in old way.
And I have a pretty all 74 years.
But again, we have.
What I do see.
Yes, right.
It's one of those.
Right, Matt, I told the folks on
So-
the council meeting, they said.
But then-
there was no word, don't worry about it, you don't need to worry about seeing how we're doing.
And we reverse it demonstrate, if you're there for,
It was a for war. For us now, we're
off season, but
We're
then
just
there's a.
much lower.
It's just, I wasn't having.
Right.
I mean, it says.
So-
Stuff that you guys don't want to do. But
What stops her from getting behind it? That's really what.
You're allowed. Only.
How would you know?
She's not a resident, she's not a resident.
Oh, but she owned a home.
We don't, you're not just a resident.
How do you-
Pretty housing, then we just emphasize,
Because your mail address
or something.
and you have to show your.
Okay.
We're not against everything.
So if you're, so just your mailing it,
Because I.
because that separates 6 months from a year.
So we're going now to Mitch on part of that.
I don't know how you.
So I'm not gonna go in that, but if we were to say.
You're not used to still.
First of all, you don't have to do.
That's the only way you can do it, your driver's license.
And by now, they deleted.
So when
Driver's license says what your residence is.
I wonder what the application would ask for.
Listen to me, we don't.
But if you have a driver's license, it says Bradley Bean, and that's where we're all.
Yeah.
I didn't get back to it. That she was.
You get to.
Oh, the percentage system. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
wonder what the form says.
Yeah, 9 years.
Well,
I see what you're saying.
Good stuff.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
You know, in software, we call that edge cases.
Because when
It's like, oh, we didn't think about it. They clicked this button and they went that way and they did this, what would happen?
Right. And they're an edge case, but in some cases, they're not false.
Yeah.
Like, this is not an edge case.
Yeah.
It's a, you know,
Can you do?
a nuance that I ordered.
Yeah.
That we're saying, hey, full-time residents, you can have this, but you land as part-time,
That's different.
they say none.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But then you're allowed for seasons.
I hope the people.
That was the difference.
Okay, so I'd be curious.
Because people complain.
Independent judiciary body.
Are they here in
Yeah, they actually here.
Okay.
There's handicap stuff on our block.
Oh, so that's.
People aren't there, and therefore,
Don't get too much.
Yeah.
Use themselves.
Right.
So always-
Mhm.
But he's
So,
so.
parking, we can't park.
Nobody's gonna be with you. That was a issue. Like that. And build closer
So
to.
we try, when there's a baby, whatever.
Yeah.
More.
I was wondering how green America would appear in your outfit than accessories.
Same
My
project.
parents would tell you.
And you didn't disappoint.
Thank you. I'm not a big fan of coloring, but I like this combination. Thank you.
Your way, the mayor's way, he's got a Rolex.
Hey, I'll take a.
How are you?
We all take one, I'll take a 90% take off one.
All right.
It's funny how percentages work.
Yeah.
I'd agree.
100%.
Thing is,
Yeah. I was confident.
And no issues. And now, I saw Washington DC president. And I think they get everybody down, you know, quarter of an hour.
Oh, last time I was in Cabo, I think it was 2011. I just told the police chief or something. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, it gives out.
Reserve placard on it.
It's a target. Do you want to leave it to sense?
Couple, I have myself down for a couple of them, so
Tell me which one, so I can.
do your 20 and 22.
Those are both resolutions?
One's an one's, ordinance and ordinance.
You didn't tell me why you weren't gonna be here the rest of the week.
Oh, I didn't tell you?
You'd be in the tropics.
Yes, sir.
Where are you staying? You think resort or not, right?
I did that by chance, so. Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah.
It's a west.
So it's international.
I think it's a western. I saw somebody pull over. Somebody was speeding.
I pulled over someone last week.
Somebody was racing down Third Avenue, just as I was getting, ready to leave, and I'm like, what the? And then right around the corner. It
wasn't very.
Wasn't the water thing.
I got somebody on leave.
But not.
Yeah.
I saw.
Oh, you're planning to do resolutions 95 and
One of the
92.
officers.
And if not, maybe start something.
Like in the middle of the road.
Right,
by
submitted
the
an award extension.
Park.
Yeah, and authorizing board of, those are professional services for CE for the.
And like,
And then I've also contributed to the reservation.
Hammond Ave?
Is that an honor?
Yeah.
And then this is the southern wall, the eastern.
Yeah.
The.
can do it like a.
He's gonna care about.
No, that's.
Yeah, I read you need.
It's one of the portable ones. But I put it there and. But now it's gone. It was strange. I was having my phone with the mayor, like.
Perfect. Speaking of.
Yeah, maybe.
I gotta realize doing this.
So maybe that's the.
Yeah, it was one of those.
Wonky still the way it's reads.
Yeah.
Or you did again?
Well, I didn't see your email, but
No, like.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm just gonna make a motion.
What day is it?
Yeah.
But here's what I thought.
No, I. So they're.
Two commissions were passed.
He would stop and wait to be around. Like.
Then do we? Change the.
Yeah. No, they.
That we're gonna.
I know it's wait, maybe
They're
they're.
best, we're not.
Requirement?
No.
What time of
Say
day?
that and you go.
I would say late morning, early afternoon.
All of the people that had to vote on the resolution. We'll talk.
What do you think?
No.
Saturday.
No pressure.
What?
At 10:28.
Well, for example, and as you are. You said.
22, which was the right away, and then 20 littering.
So, I don't know if anyone was there. But one search, the big thing, this one's really snow fun. It's
The few, plan, right, cleans up the information that was missing, is that 22 we're talking?
No. It's 60. Stage.
Snow emergency
Yeah.
and handicap, right?
It's not even, it's just. Special project parking.
Right.
Parking area is only 60. It's almost like the same as a regular.
When for the. Introductions. You have to. Just make a motion to approve the introductions. Have to be first approval to that.
No problem. I'll make some general statement. There's no public comment. Introduction.
Okay.
When it's adoption, yes.
Yes. So first. Before moving for.
For the adoption. Well, first of all.
Right.
Then you say, yes, this is about this. Then we will say yes or no, maybe so, it's not right. But once we've done it, then you make the motion to. You vote on that. And then at the end of it.
Wait for.
You do like a section.
Okay, I'll try.
Because I need to be closing. Robert.
I would agree.
Not much. Explain what.
This is not the only, you want to talk about it.
He said.
This was, but what is legislation is.
We're gonna be. Nickname.
I promised that also more in advance.
Yes, so there's help.
Yeah.
Yes.
My first prepared statement. And I just.
Yeah. I don't know if they're like.
Oh, like when I find. You'd like to. That's good for college. Like not. It goes by color. In fact, if those are purple, then they'd be funky.
How are you?
Only one chance.
Good, good. Long as I'll be in the mayor. That's basketball, very successful basketball. I run the basketball. Yeah. And in my church.
Yeah, Weber just said, you'd like to join us, but it's a cost of our
You can make all the people happy.
That's right.
I'm gonna
I
call
love
you.
to try.
Thank you. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. Okay. So you're required to start 2 minutes early, so I look late every time I walk in. Yeah.
Ready? Which family?
Good to see you again, Jane. Hi, I'm Mitch. Sorry. I'm the new. Yeah, let's not do that.
So nice to see you.
So good to see you.
I'm so glad you're here.
I'm glad you are.
Yeah. Erica. She's not working on the site, and I'm trying to amend another. Hello.
Oh, you're nice to the holiday, the high holiday. Erica,
We know that.
the celebration was already begun.
Yeah, I think getting messages that people can't get into Zoom.
It's fine. I love the hair. Thank you. Sit down.
Okay, so
My hair?
call this meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Yes.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I wish to announce the 48-hour notice is required under the Open Public Meetings Act, was emailed to the Asbury Park Press, the Coast Star, and the New Coaster on December the 18th of 2025. That a copy has been placed on the bulletin board in the borough office and that a copy has been filed with the municipal clerk. Please be advised, public attendance for meetings through Zoom is not mandatory and a courtesy only. If for any reason Zoom fails or is disconnected, the in-person meeting will continue without interruption, and action can and will be taken, providing that there is an in-person quorum. Mr. Noble?
Here.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Here.
Mr. Carr?
Here.
Mr. Nowicki?
Here.
Mayor Gubatosi?
Here. Welcome, everyone, this evening. Great to see everybody here and get a little bit of a break in the weather compared to the almost tornadoes we had a day or so ago. We are going to jump right into what I think is a pretty important topic on item 5 on our agenda. As most of you are aware, we scheduled a workshop tonight to talk about recently passed by our departing Governor Murphy regulations called REAL, REAL, Resilient Environments and Landscapes. And this is a very complicated topic. I don't know, I know a handful of you are here specifically for this discussion. For the rest of you and folks that are joining us on Zoom, you know, there are varying levels of understanding, not only out there across the public, but varying levels of understanding around by legislators. I've talked to some of our legislators at the state level, at the federal level, and they are not deeply aware of some of the implications for real. Our council really has scrambled in the past month or so, maybe as far as 2 months, to, you know, first become aware and to dive into this stuff. None of us are experts. However, as a council, we feel it's very important that we, representing our residents, make a statement, and you're going to hear us discuss tonight a resolution that we've crafted with a lot of input from myself and my 4 colleagues that we plan to send to legislators, state legislators, federal legislators, Senate, House of Representatives, our governor. We're going to share it with the clerks of all municipalities along the east coast of New Jersey. These regulations really impact coastal communities, and you'll hear more about that. So we just want to get a message out representing our views on this legislation. We're going to discuss it tonight. We've already crafted language. We want to share as much of the language as you guys can all tolerate, but we do want to make sure that you're at least aware of some of the key issues that this legislation, this regulation presents. And by all means, when you leave here tonight, go home, get your favorite beverage, and maybe, you know, study it for a few more hours. It's very very interesting, but we think there's still a lot of work that needs to come, and yet the regulations should roll out officially if no one delays them on July 20th of this year. So with that as a quick preamble, do people in the room have copies of this resolution by any chance? Mr. Klein, you do. Okay, good. I think it's too long to read the entire thing, but maybe what I'll do right now, you know, we can certainly take that.
Yeah.
But I'm going to take a stab. I actually have a formal statement I'm going to read at the end of this, because I want to make sure Erica only takes formal statements verbatim to put in our minutes. So I personally have a formal statement I'm gonna read at the end of this. And I'm gonna cheat from it a little bit right now to just give an overview and then ask my colleagues to weigh in. But the concept here, and folks, if I say anything that you think I'm misstating, by all means, correct me. But the concept is the New Jersey DEP, Department of Environmental Protection, created regulations. They formulated these regulations over a number of years, 4 or 5 years plus. And they received feedback from the public over that time. I find our council was not aware. I met with Monmouth County, Southern Monmouth County mayors, 10 mayors of towns, heading pretty far south. We're the most northern of the Southern Monmouth County towns. And nobody knew about this. So despite the fact that it's been out there somewhere in the ethernet for 5 years, and the environmentalist community is very well versed, I think, on this topic. I've heard from many of them. I'm sure there's some dialing in today to join us. I see Mr. Weber as one. So they typically have had what I would say is a head start on understanding what the legislation is about. My summary, and I'm going to let my colleagues weigh in. My summary of this is that NJDEP is doing everything in their power to help the state of New Jersey adjust our zoning to anticipate climate change over the next 74 years. They have targeted the year 2100, 74 years from today, and science says in that year, sea levels are likely to have risen 4 feet. Could be 3 feet, could be not at all, could be 10 feet, but the highest probability, and they've been back and forth on this, is a 4-foot rise in sea level. Now, if we anticipate that, it's logical if you're, leaders of the United States, let alone leaders of New Jersey, to come up with a plan. What do? We can't wait till the year 2099 and try to figure it out. The sooner you start fixing that anticipated problem, the better. So the NJDEP has come up with regulations passed by the governor, and these regulations basically regulate private property. And I'm going to hand it off to a few others to talk about this, but the general regulations say if we're going to have sea level rise, historically, the entire country, the United States, has looked at FEMA flood levels to determine water tables and how far deep you can build your house and so forth. New Jersey, under these regulations, is saying we don't want to look backwards. We don't want to look historically at FEMA flood levels. We want to look forward 74 years and say, what are floodplains going to look like at that time? Now, Michelle Wiley, maybe you could put up a graphic for folks if you hear me. There we go. The floodplains, the FEMA floodplains are captured in the diagram on the left. That is, I know you probably can't see that great from where you're sitting, but that on the left is Bradley Beach under FEMA. And you see some highlighted, they look a little dark pinkish around the lakes to the north, Fletcher Lake and to South Sylvan. Not too much pinkish. Pinkish is raised floodplains. But most of Bradley Beach, as you can see, is that beige color. FEMA says we're not, we're at least a foot above FEMA levels. Now, on the right is, and I can't read the legend colors myself, but basically yellow is elevated floodplains. We estimate it's hitting 60% of Bradley Beach property. And the blue, you can see the blue surround our lakes, plural, but you can see they're much larger, probably twice the size of the current. What that means is, left unchecked, a lot of property owners will be underwater at least twice a day with high tide. So significant difference. A picture's worth 1,000 words, right? Significant difference between what everybody's using today, FEMA, looking backwards and present day, versus looking forward 74 years. So everything in these regulations starts basically here. The regulations now say people have to anticipate these changes in elevations. And we'll talk about the details in a second, but basically, if you're in some of these higher floodplain levels, or if you're in an inundation zone, which is that blue area, if you're doing major construction on your houses now, or if you're, for example, if you come in, you buy a small bungalow, you knock it down to build a larger house, which occurs at Bradley Beach. Will be effective July 20th, if the regulations don't change, you'll be subject to whatever the 2100 floodplain maps say in terms of how much you'll have to elevate your house. If you're building an addition, there's a rule, 50% rule basically, that basically says if your cost of your, not just an addition, improvements. So it might not be an addition, it might be improving your kitchen and your bathrooms and doing whatever you do interior, but you might be building upwards, you might not be expanding the footprint at all. But if you cost 50% of the value of your house today, the building, not your entire property, just the improvements. If you trigger that 50% as a threshold, it triggers your requirement to comply with these new regulations. You would have to raise your existing house if you're going over 50% of the appraised value of your house, the assessed value. So because of this, there's all kinds of debate. The environmentalists, I'm sweeping generalizations here. I'm sure I'll be corrected by some of them tonight. But in general, they're very excited and very proud of this effort by the NJDEP, because they're at least forward thinking and they're breaking out of the mold of this backward thinking, only looking at FEMA, which looks backwards. So they're proud of these regulations. One of the things I'm going to comment on in my own comments is the regulations. The DEP largely controls property owners. They don't regulate they don't infrastructure. So you can be raising houses, but they don't tell you to raise your street levels. Your houses could be above water, but the street may be underwater. They don't regulate, for the most part, infrastructure, sidewalks, telephone lines, electric lines. So you can see how you could get a kind of uneven streetscape as one house does a major renovation and it's 3 or 4 or 6 feet taller than the houses flanking it. These are the things that I think this council will say, and it does say right now in our resolution, are things that need to be thought out better. We need more consistency in terms of how we make these changes going forward. We're not saying it's wrong. We're just saying it's not fully baked. We need more time to get legislators involved, to get the governor involved, to get the United States involved, to provide funding for changes that have to be made. So there's a lot more work we feel needs to be done. So while we, my word, applaud what the DEP is trying to do, we don't think they can do it alone. And that's largely what our resolution says. The resolution is on our website. It's about 5 pages long. That's why we're not going to read it. But we've designed it to be fairly educational. So people around the state of New Jersey hopefully will read it and say, good points made, Bradley Beach. So that's my summary. Jane, do you want to?
You did a beautiful job. You covered everything. I did want to explain a little bit more about the renovations. Let's say the median home in Bradley Beach is about $1 million now. 700,000 would be the land. 300,000 would be the building. So if you spent over 150,000 and you were in the climate adjusted flood elevation area or the inundation zones that you covered, you would have to lift your house. So, and it's also cumulative. So you can only spend $149,099 over 10 years. And if you go over that, it would trigger you to lift your home. I did want to add to that Governor Murphy passed this, as you said, January 20th. The New Jersey League of Municipality negotiated a grace period. Now we have until July 20th. They also adjusted, it was 5 feet was the flood zone. They brought it down to 4 feet. If you look at the map on the right, you can see the yellow area. That's now the 4 feet. The orange area was the 5 feet. So not a huge difference, but a difference, especially if you live in the orange area in the second map. And then the other area is the inundation zone. The inundation zone is currently dry, but it's projected to be permanently underwater, flooded twice daily by high tide by the year 2100. And then, like when I said, the orange area, or now the yellow area, they changed the map about 2 weeks ago. It was 5 feet. I have one printed out that was 5 feet, but they changed it probably 2 weeks ago, and they added the yellow area. And that is where they expect storm surges and extreme flooding. It adds 4 feet to the current FEMA. So new or significantly improved buildings must be elevated to the higher cafe, as they call it, level to ensure that they stay dry during future storms. But otherwise, you covered everything beautifully.
Councilor Nowicki, comments? Our engineer.
I could speak for hours on this. It's, again, you know, the DEP is trying to get us to look forward, and the models indicate that based on sea level rise, as you noted, that we will ultimately see these surges, including high tide. Today, the technical requirement says it's 4 feet above the FEMA elevation. But unless it's 4 feet above FEMA elevation or 4 feet above their inundation map, which is what the yellow is. So there's a nuance there. So FEMA right now is like 9 feet. This is based on the, you know, old FEMA numbers. They're supposed to be coming out with new ones. So 9 foot flood elevation, and there's a chance that can move to 10. So what that's showing there, if you know what the contours are of the town, what the elevations of the streets are, that's basically almost up to Fletcher Lake. And those elevations get up to around 17 foot in elevation. So if you're down at 10 feet, down on Beach or Ocean Avenue, you know, you need to meet a first floor elevation, roughly that's 17 to 18. I don't know what the exact number is, but it's 17 to 18 foot elevation would be your first floor elevation. So you would have to have stairs going up to your house, basically 8 feet of height. You'd have to make up in stairs. And some of our properties, you know, would be very difficult. If you look at some of them on the north end of town, and these small lots, that the houses are so close, it could really create a you know, difficult, maybe even not able to develop those properties. So the ordinances, the zoning, and all of this, as the mayor noted, is of great concern. And so what we really need to do is, you know, get more time and get the legislators to look at this. But in the meantime, what we need to do is we need to plan that this doesn't change and we have to go forward with this. And if July 20th is the cutoff date, any permit to build would have to go through the new process and meet the requirements of this. And we do not have any ordinances set up to do that. So if you don't have your building plans in by July 20th, and you come in with July 21st, and we don't have our ordinances in place and the process in place to get approvals, you're gonna be sitting waiting for us to do that. So it is an urgent matter to either get an extension of time from the legislators and the governor to, you know, basically give us a window of time or augment the rules, or give us a window of time to be prepared to be able to implement new ordinances, and to deal with what we have to deal with in order to continue to improve, you know, properties here at Bradley Beach. So Mayor, not to correct you, but the one thing you said was it doesn't regulate the streets and all that. They haven't provided any funding or advice on what to do with those roads. They do regulate those. So you would have to go through permits to change elevations of roads and show why you're doing it, because you create bathtub effects. If you start to raise certain things but not other things, you place fill. So that anything in that yellow zone would be, whether it's a street, any type of improvement, public or private, would have to be, go through the regulations and get, basically it's taken the CAFR permit and it's moved it all the way out to basically almost to Fletcher Lake Road. So it's a big concern, it's a big issue. Developers are concerned about it. People have talked about insurance, and in reality, our insurances right now are based on FEMA. They're not based on these new maps. And so when you go get your rates for flood insurance, they're going to base it on FEMA. Now, there is no telling if someone's going to change that in the future, but nationally by law, it's FEMA. If we do have to meet all those requirements of REAL and you raise your house up, theoretically, you will be better protected and perhaps your home will be better protected from storms and therefore your insurance for flood would be less. But the adjacent homes, if insurance regulators start looking at this and going, well, geez, we have to start changing our rules. They're gonna lobby federal government to change FEMA to be prepared for the future. But again, they're not trying to insure you for year 2100. They're insuring you for the near term, for next year. So that's why FEMA is different than what this is forecasting. So it's really it's a very complicated model and situation that we're in. And right now, based on the rules and the state legislation, is that we need to be prepared by July 20th, or we're going to be delaying construction. So we have a lot of work with the land use board, and we're going to have to put a task force together rapidly in order to plan for this and implement new ordinances to comply.
Thank you.
And I'll just add that, you know, we're one of, did you say 44 oceanfront communities? So we're not alone in this. And in fact, the southern portion of New Jersey is at an even lower elevation. And so they've been a little more aware and more vocal about this, challenging the science. So in this resolution, we're not challenging the science of it, but we're really looking for guidance, for support, for planning and for modeling of ordinances so we can all work together along the coastline and be as protected as we can for our community.
Councilman?
How do I not repeat what everybody else has said? But it's just important to note that we're not in opposition to this. We support the intent of the regulations. However, I think there's still work to be done with regards to providing some standardized guidance, coordinating infrastructure strategy, some realistic timelines. Because as a member of the land use board, I can see the amount of work that would be required to properly implement the proper regulations and requirements to meet this. And July 20th is going to be here before you know it.
So just to visualize this is really, when you think of it this way, it blows your mind. So if your current property, say, is elevation 10, right? And our current ordinance regulation says that the maximum height we can build a home is 35 feet above the existing grade. But now we're going to say your first floor has to be 18. So now you only have then 17 feet to build home of height of a home above that 18 to get to 35 if your ground is at 10. So all of our ordinances would have to change with like the 35-foot height. Are we going to allow restrain the height to 35 feet off of existing ground? Or are we going to say, no, you can build to 50-foot elevation now? But now you have a bungalow next door and you have this building next to you at 50 foot in height. So you're going to have these things like this going on. And so how do we manage all of that? And so this is really the complication of this rule. And I think it's critical that we plan for our future. If we're going to build a new house, which I recently had done, even my house that I just built does not meet that 18-foot first floor elevation. I wish I would have known that. I don't know if I would have built it up to 18, but the problem is that to raise those houses now and the investment that you make is going to be threatened if you 30 years from now, 50 years from now, and we build houses to last 50 to 100 years. So the intent of this is the right concept, but how do you implement it?
Any other comments? I guess one other thing I'll mention, and then we'll open it up to the public for comments or questions, is Councilman Nowicki, myself, and our business administrator, Matt Doherty, we actually were given an audience and we had a Zoom call with a number of members of the New Jersey DEP, including the new acting commissioner.
Yes.
Okay. And they could not have been more generous with their time, receptive to our recommendations. The one piece of that conversation I'd like to share with the public is that I very specifically asked, is there any consideration given to creating from a central entity model ordinances? And the reason for that is because right now, every municipality, these 44 coastal communities, are kind of left to their own devices. we'll create ours the best we can, knowing what we know. And maybe if I call over to the mayor in Avon, he and I can tag team or, whatever. But none of us have any sort of general model language to use as a guide. And the commissioner, the brand new acting commissioner of the DEP, said he thought that was a good idea. He actually went as far as to say they might talk with the League of Municipalities to do something like that. Paul is my witness. And if that should come to pass, that alone, I imagine, would have to extend the deadline for implementation because it would take months to create those model ordinances. And then municipalities would need months more to figure out a way to, get the implementation going. So I can't even say I'm optimistic, but I will say, I think there's a reasonable chance that we will be granted the state of New Jersey will be granted some form of an extension, because I think as more and more people are speaking out, our legislators and the DEP, they want to do what's right. And I think they will give us more time so that we can get more of our so-called ducks in a row. That's purely my speculative assessment of the situation. So with that said, no other comments from the council. I'd like to open it up to the public. But I don't have to make a formal motion. So anyone here or on Zoom? Oh, Michelle, can you remove the maps so that we can see who's on Zoom with hands raised? Thank you. Anyone in the room that has any questions about real?
You did a good job. Covered
Anyone?
everything.
Where's Mr. Weber?
He's there. Yeah, I don't,
There.
he doesn't have his hand raised, so. All right.
Oh, yeah, now he does.
Okay. Oh, we got a couple. Mr. John Weber, former councilman.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. I was giving people in the room a chance first, but thank you. I want to thank the council for a very different resolution than the one that you first floated back in January. The fact that you're recognizing that this is happening and you're not questioning the science and stuff, that's good. And for everybody's benefit, you hear the acronym REAL, but a lot of times it's with this other acronym PACT, which was protecting against climate threats. The PACT part, those are a set of rules that affect everybody inland in New Jersey. A vast majority, I don't know the exact number, but the vast majority of the land mass in New Jersey. And those rules were adopted in 2023. And the developers and all these people, they all said the same thing. It's going to stop development and no one's going to be able to build anything. And of course, since 2023, none of that has happened because it hasn't slowed down the development at all. These rules, of course, affect the tidal parts of New Jersey. So I'm going to nitpick on your resolution a little bit. On the first page, that one, whereas you talk about the 554 towns in New Jersey being very different. Well, this doesn't affect 554 towns. This affects, I don't know, maybe at best half of the towns in New Jersey, because about half of the towns are tidal. There's other things in your resolution language that I think it's been written. It seems to me like it's been written assuming that everyone is going to increase, they're going to achieve this height, this building height level by pushing up the grade, like by pushing up the land. And I just think that's not how people are going to achieve this height level. They're going to build on pilings. So all the talk about diverting stormwater and all the problems with, the bathtub effect and all that stuff, I just feel like it's completely misguided, because you're not achieving that height level by pushing up the land. You're achieving it by building up, presumably on pilings. I'm not a builder, so maybe there's some other way to do it, but I don't know. A lot of people have made comments about, oh, well, you're raising the houses, but you're not raising the infrastructure. Here's my take on that. I don't think raising the infrastructure matters as nearly as much as everybody thinks it does, or maybe even at all. I'll give you a personal example for that. I had a house in Belmar, in the low-lying part of Belmar, kind of back behind the windmill, that neighborhood back there. It's kind of like 71s on one side and 35s on the other side. And it flooded in Sandy. In the middle of the night, when that Sandy storm surge came in, it flooded the property that I had. It was a rental property. I lived here, but it flooded that property. At 8 a.m. the next morning, I drove on these roads, on the infrastructure, straight to that property. It was no problem. Because when there's a flood event like this, the flood comes in and then it goes out. So I was able to drive straight there. The bathtub effect, I mean, that doesn't really happen. The only place that happened was in the middle of Belmar. And I mean, only place that I know of in all of New Jersey is in the middle of Belmar where they had a lake without an outlet to the ocean. And of course, you know, the ocean came over Ocean Avenue into that lake, and that was a bit of a bathtub effect there. So it's not like you can't get to these properties. So I don't think that raising the street is, I don't think that's such an issue. And regarding the mayor, some of your comments, again, I just don't think that having one house built at one level and the very next house is built at a different level, and the house next to that is like basically on the ground, like that's not, to me, that's not a problem. I mean, it's a problem from a flood standpoint. That's why we want to raise all these houses over time. But I mean, if I turned around and looked out my window, I could look at a house right now that's up a full story, you know, and there's cars parking underneath it, and then the house next door to it is, you know, half that high. It's just not a big deal. It's not, people are making it sound like this is going to ruin our town, and I just don't see it that way. So I understand you're calling for more time. I do have one question. Besides the raising the height limit, of course, is necessary if the houses are going to have to, you know, the first floor is going to start higher. Of course, we have to raise the tip of the roof. But besides that, and to me, that's kind of a simple ordinance change. I don't know what else we have to change in our rules. If somebody has an answer for that, that's great. Not necessary to pass the ordinance or not, but I feel like that's the only thing we're going to have to change. And I think I already passed along well over a month ago that places that are even really low lying, like Ocean City, New Jersey, even though they were against these rules, they started working on those ordinances, on that ordinances, and they changed their height ordinance probably at this point a month and a half ago. So I'll leave it at that. If anybody has questions, that's fine. But I think I would love to hear what else we have to change besides our height ordinance, and that's it. Thanks very much.
Look, John, this is Paul, just for a quick response to that. One of the ordinances would be affected, no basements, no mechanical equipment on within the flood elevation. Some of these irregular lots, we may, the smaller ones where the front of the house is already not compliant to zoning, and they would have to put 8 to 10 feet, 8-foot high stairwell, whether or not that could fit on the lot, or would that have to make that lot undevelopable? So then they would create a lot of zoning variances. So we've not gone through an evaluation of all of these yet, and that's what we need to do. But there's ramifications that we haven't even thought about that could affect things. And so we need to go through with a fine-tooth comb and look at this closely to see what are the unintended consequences to these lots, to the mechanical equipment, to the driveways, setbacks, etc. And so it's all consideration. And I'm not saying one or all of them are actual. I'm saying these are the things that we have to look at, and we've not studied it yet.
And John, you mentioned Ocean City or something, but to me, that's just an example of one municipality going it alone. And then Bradley Beach can get online and go it alone. And everybody's going to come up with something different. I think what we're trying to say as a council is all of our municipalities, all of our residents would be better served if we took a breath, stepped back, armed with the same goal, just took more time to come up with optimum alternatives that municipalities could consistently consider, rather than everyone doing it on their own. And Councilman Nowicki, you mentioned irregular lots, but as I know you're aware, you could have a very conforming lot that would still have difficulties with setbacks if they've got to add, 5 or 6 feet of height. That's probably 6 more feet of stairs going into the existing setback. And so even with conforming lots, there could be challenges, John, well beyond height restrictions. So.
May I add one more thing too?
Please.
We were talking about tidal municipalities, also fluvial municipalities are being affected. These are towns that have rivers and streams, and also stormwater management. And this is part of the inland flood protection rule. So this is part of the initiative as well. So all 564 municipalities are being affected by this.
The resolution language, if any of you are still interested after this meeting and want to look at it, it's very detailed, as I mentioned, it's 5 or 6 pages. It's done that way on purpose, to educate. But the very end of it, what we're really saying is DEP, give us DEP and governor and everybody else, give us at least another year to get better organized around crafting a better implementation plan. That's the bottom line of our resolution.
No, and ultimately, our legislators at the state level and federal level, we need relief to help, create, the opportunity to try to do more resilient protection from those wave surges and whatnot, so that we can minimize the impact to the homes, because you're still gonna have these, or to our infrastructure. So there is more to do beyond just, oh, let's just raise our houses and let happen what happens.
We note in our resolution, there are countries, the Netherlands, Singapore, Japan, that are currently making great strides in terms of their efforts to manage rising sea levels. All of their efforts are driven by their federal governments. This current regulations, these focus on putting the cost burden on individual property owners. So we'd like to see that paradigm maybe shifted a little to be more of a joint effort. Certainly, I could see a world in which a solution could be private homeowners, private property owners contribute to that cost. But I would hope that there's greater federal government guidance given and or requested to help make this outcome. Well, we're sitting there, not us personally, but in the year 2100, when our future generations are sitting in Bradley Beach, and some houses are taller and some houses are shorter. Have we succeeded if a third of our homes have never been elevated? And now you're in 2100. And what do those 1/3 of our homes do? Like, I just think if science is correct, we need a more holistic solution that's going to serve Bradley Beach and all of our coastal communities more consistently well.
Give one more hand up.
Yep.
Paul.
Okay, Paul Nishamkin? Paul?
Hi, Paul Nishamkin, 411.5 Lorraine. Thank you very much for this well-considered resolution. As somebody who lost their home at West Hampton Beach, Long Island in 1982, it washed out to sea, and someone who has a home in Hoboken also, which has gone through this starting with Sandy and is spending hundreds of millions of dollars to try to solve the situation. I thank you for looking for some more time to handle this intelligently. I have an immediate question. That is, I have a little bit of questioning on the current real map. Is there any way to see a more accurate elevation survey, or actually can private homeowners get a precision altimeter to measure their property to make sure that and get it certified at a certain elevation?
So you could have a surveyor actually survey your property, to know what your actual existing elevation is. As far as those flood maps, I could not come up yet with finding what the actual elevation is. I'm just trying to match it up to existing contours, trying to figure out what is that elevation. Is it because their flood map is not just 4 feet plus on top of the FEMA. It's a different model. So
Yeah.
have an actual, that's what I'm saying, somewhere in that 17 to 18 foot would be your required, first floor elevation, but I wouldn't quote me on that. I'm just.
Yeah. That's what I believe I already have. And I was under the impression that I was, my ground was 15 feet high and that my porch and first floor level was probably 19 feet. But I'd like to establish that.
So you can, right, so 2 things, you could have your property surveyed, but you could also, you have to wait to see when we can get more information.
Of course.
On a model that will give you the actual elevation of that flood. You can actually bring up your parcel on their tool, your lot block, and then
Okay.
it shows it is on their mapping. And then it shows you in that inundation zone, but it doesn't give you the actual elevations.
Thank you.
Other comments or questions, Mr. Quinn?
Thomas J. Cohen, 612 Third Avenue. The previous speaker can request from his surveyor a flood elevation certificate, which is always a good document to, you gotta pay for it, but it's a good document to have establishing your insurance rates and whether you are in flood zone. And they do measure the elevation from your basement floor, if you have a basement. That's your first floor elevation, but I would recommend that he get that. I have a number of comments. I mean, this shows lack of coordination with the federal government. It's not the first time New Jersey's done that on a number of issues. But in this case, I mean, FEMA is gonna be changing their maps. And I don't wanna criticize without coming up with a solution. So I've said, if we raise our flood elevation 2 feet above FEMA, then we would be protected. Now, when FEMA changes the maps this year or next year, you gotta be 2 feet above FEMA. Our residents would know what they're looking at. Apparently now, nobody knows what we're looking at here. I don't trust any science that doesn't look backwards. I've never studied anything that where you didn't go back historically and look. They're saying, oh, forget about that, we don't want to be burdened by that. Let's be burdened by the higher insurance that we're going to be seeing. I mean, this doesn't seem like science says, it seems more like Simon says. The DEP is telling us to jump, and we're jumping. I mean, it makes no sense. Now, the map that you showed, they adjusted it from 5 feet to 4 feet due to public outcry. Well, it's a de minimis change. They didn't do anything for us. And also, I mean, it's there's just not much of a difference at all. The other thing no one's talking about is that when you build a house, you have to get freehold soils, you have to get the county planning board. Now, you have to get a general permit from DEP. That's gotta be another $3,000 or $4,000 and minimum 90 to 120 days. So it's like, people say, oh, it's no big deal. Oh, you should really fund, they should fund the DEP more. They could get it done quicker. Well, wait, what is this, a money grab? We shouldn't even be applying for these permits, but no one's talking about that.
It's a 90-day clock.
It's a 90-day clock. Wait, that's without them asking for an extension.
That's correct. That's
Yes.
90 days review period is what they.
Exactly.
Just amount.
But we currently are working on our ordinances. We are a home rule town. And we have been doing the ordinances on the basements. We've been making many changes. So we're looking at it and we're here. And let's see what else I had. I do disagree with the way this was done because there's no legislative approval. The people we voted for didn't approve this. I mean, this is no way to run government. So I appreciate what you're doing. I support the resolution. And I want to thank you for looking out for the residents of Bradley Beach. I mean, it's at least a third of the town, and many people don't know. So thank you very much, Mayor and Council.
Thank you.
I just want to make a point of correction that the scientists look back and they look forward. So they're using research of historical data as they model what they anticipate they see. So it's not a matter of not looking back.
We were told at the environmental commission meeting that don't look back, that they're not looking back, and the mayor, you referenced that also, this
Well,
isn't looking back.
The tagline was, everybody else looks back, we're looking forward. That doesn't mean they don't also look back.
Yeah, that's their tagline, but we know what happened in Sandy, that's as bad as it's been, I've been here for a very long time. And I actually testified at the open public hearings on this. And the problem we have, if you go to the FEMA map, is at the north and south end. I've said it in this room before, and I will keep saying it. It's the state's water that's inundating us at high tide. It's not the ocean. It's not sea level. So they don't want to deal with it, but that's truly what it is. They gotta look in their own mirror. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Short, behind you, I'm sorry. You're next, sir.
Peter Sharp, 301 Second Avenue. Thank you. Let's see, first of all, I have to say I haven't read the resolution, for which I apologize. But I'm gonna make comments anyhow, so if I start going off in the wrong direction somewhere, please rope me back in. I think there's general agreement that, the land use board would be under the gun to meet this specific timeline. And, I mentioned last meeting, that this would be one area we could push back in the resolution. It sounds like that is being done. What I didn't hear from the front of the room in the introductory comments on this was any kind of pushback that is being done on the basis of the pocketbooks of the homeowners here. Flood insurance was mentioned. What about regular homeowners insurance? Once you find out that an insurance company, once they learn the replacement cost for a home, has to incorporate this new construction, which is gonna be more expensive. So everybody's gonna see a big step increase in their ordinary insurance rates for this. Let's see. Construction costs are going to go up for the average homeowner. Property values may go down once people realize, holy cow, if I buy in Bradley Beach, I'm gonna have to spend a ton of money to do the renovations that I want. There's just, no end to how this could affect the finances of the residents of the Bradley Beach. I'm just hoping that even though I didn't hear it earlier, there is something in this resolution, some forceful language about the impact of that on the homeowners.
I think when I'm reacting to the word forceful language, we tried very hard to craft what is generally, I hope, would be viewed as a supportive resolution, but yes, it's 5 pages of, at least 4 pages, maybe there's we do whereas, therefore, now therefore. Well, maybe 4 pages are whereas, highlighting virtually every issue you just raised, politely. Because a lot of it is speculative. For every person who we've talked to that says this could adversely impact the value of your home, somebody else argues that it wouldn't. I personally, I'm just speaking for myself, not the council, but because we're trying to appeal to the majority to get people to give us time, we did our best to craft this in a way that it's not too inflammatory. And by the way, you and others in this room, on Zoom, you're gonna read articles in newspapers and magazines, on Facebook, and some people very inflammatory. This is a horrible thing. Other people, super, pro.
Difference between inflammatory and forceful. It's okay to be forceful
Right.
for the sake of your citizens.
Right, well, by all means, let us know what you think after you've read it,
Good point.
but I think our goal, and we've been through this, Mr. Cohen referenced, we had a much different version of our very first draft of a resolution. Was probably crossing the line in terms of pushing too hard. At least enough of us, all of us basically felt that we need to spend more time with this. We actually had that conversation with the DEP. And the more we all evaluated, the more we felt what we really need is time to do it right. That's what we're asking for.
I understand, and I trust your deliberations come up with the best language. May I use my last minute to make one more forceful comment? I've heard it said here that, we're not questioning the science. And I see the science word in capital letters as if it's inviolate. You don't have to read too much in order to come up with some potential flaws in the study that led to this finding by the Department of Environmental Protection. You can read about satellite altimetry and how it's really kind of a tool in its infancy. It's only 25 years of useful data, and even now, they're still trying to solve problems with ocean anomalies due to currents, clutter when they measure along shorelines. And some people have questioned in the literature whether it's appropriate to use a 25-year-old tool to make projections 75 years into the future. Another point you mentioned, the Netherlands. What they have done is they have taken land-based measurements as a balance against satellite altimetry. And they find out that, yes, ocean levels are rising, but not at the accelerated rate indicated by altimetry, but rather at a more constant rate leading to lower rises. So my point in saying this is not to solve the climate debate here. Okay, we're not going to do that. But my point is to say that, there is always room for discussion in these things. I think there are some balancing points that need to be made against that. And I hope that that'll be part of the larger discussion in the next year, which you hopefully will buy for us. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for hearing.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Danny Greenberg. I live at 221 Newark. And my wife and I are also recent purchasers of one of the lots from the church. Which we bought fully intending under the rules that we bought them under to build a basement of a 2.5-story house. That's why we put so much money in. I'd love to see you guys slow down a little bit. I'd love to see, measured, proper approaches, recognizing that the new rules by the DEP are being attacked from every direction. They may, the legislature may actually annul them entirely. We don't know. Now, that doesn't have to do with the science, but what it has to do with is taking time. I know there's also a related resolution, which has had its first reading, I believe, that prohibits basement garages, as well as raising the level of basements to 3 feet above mean high water, as opposed to, I don't think there was a regulation before that, was there?
1 foot above.
1 foot above. Speaking as someone who is hoping to build a beautiful home for the rest of his life here in Bradley, I'd like to see that resolution kind of take its time to go through the process as well, because it's related. It's all related. And I would just urge and encourage you, while recognizing the science, recognizing the debates in the science, and recognizing that none of this may even take place, please take a measured eye. That's all I have.
Thank you. Other comments or questions from the audience here? No one else on Zoom? Okay, I think we then are ready to consider a vote on this resolution. I'll go back to my agenda. Would anyone care to make a motion?
I'm happy to make a motion. I make a motion to approve resolution 2026-86, supporting the goals of the New Jersey Resilient Environments and Landscapes REAL regulations, and requesting model ordinance language, implementation guidance, infrastructure coordination, regional resilience planning, and an extension of municipal compliance deadlines.
Second,
Ms. DeNoble?
yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatosi?
I warned everyone I'm going to read a brief statement for the record. This is, purely Al Gubitosi's take on this vote. We are not here to challenge the science behind real regulations. The risk posed by sea level rise and climate change are well documented, and I commend the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection for initiating a forward-looking process to safeguard the future of our residents and our communities. That said, regulations alone do not address infrastructure and do not provide for government funding, cannot achieve the outcomes New Jersey needs. For real to be successful, the state must foster strong communication, collaboration, and consistency, bringing together regulators, state legislators, the governor's office, and our federal legislators in a coordinated and transparent effort. This is especially critical for our more than 40 coastal communities, which must work from a shared vision for zoning and land use. That vision should be supported by practical model ordinances that promote alignment and collaboration rather than encourage fragmented, independent efforts across municipal boundaries. We must also recognize that the cost of climate preparedness cannot rest solely on private property owners. A comprehensive solution must include meaningful public investment. Preparing for conditions projected in the year 2100 requires shared responsibility, with government playing a central role in funding and implementation. Finally, we must avoid a piecemeal approach in each community where individual homes are elevated without regard for surrounding infrastructure, resulting in mismatched roads, sidewalks, and neighborhoods. Our planning must be cohesive, equitable, and designed at the community level. Ultimately, what this council is saying is simple. We agree this work must be done, but to succeed, we must do it right. And with that said, I vote yes. Thank you. Okay, thank you, everyone. That was, I've been on council for 5 years, mayor for a year, so 6 years total. That was possibly one of the most challenging topics because it's a statewide topic and we don't often, our Bradley Beach Council don't often find ourselves addressing statewide topics because, you know, we're focused on Bradley Beach. But this is one where all of us felt that the more we discussed it, the more research was done. You've heard from folks here that everyone's dove pretty deep into this. We really felt it was very important to bring this to light, whether folks in this audience on Zoom or not even attending tonight, agree or disagree with us. We wanted to make sure you're all aware, and please continue to do your own research and add to the overall voices that are addressing this regulation. So with that said, I'm going to move on to item 6 on our agenda, presentations and bids. There are none. So we'll move to item 7, approval of minutes. I will make a motion that we approve the March 3, 2026 council business meeting minutes.
Second, Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatosi?
Yes. Item 8 is public comments and questions specifically pertaining to this agenda. If you have comments not pertaining to this agenda, please hold them till the end of the meeting. So anyone with any comments or questions regarding tonight's agenda? No one.
Agenda
That's one.
with the real.
Yes,
What was it?
I'm sorry, did you have a question?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Because I wasn't clear on stuff. My name is Frank, I with the property at 321 Lorraine. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. I listened to Mr. Nowicki's comment in regard to possibly raising the height of people's homes. I believe his name was Paul, is in the neighborhood where we are gonna be, where he has a much taller property. We wanna comply and I guess intelligently, so we don't have water in our basements in regard to the homes we're going to build. And I don't know how to be in compliance with if you had your permits in by July 20th on the future. So if we're not gonna lift our homes up to 5 feet, but if we are 2 or 3 feet above the seasonal high water mark, can we have our homes, you know, a foot or so taller where it wouldn't be impeding the neighborhood because the homes around us are much taller? And the property that we purchased was where the church was, which had a 3.5 or a 4 foot wall, and then the church itself was much higher. So I think it's just an oversight on the fact that we are now at grade and we're very, very close to the high water mark. And what Dan was saying is about not being able to have a basement, which is really important for us, and that's why we purchased the property. So I'm not necessarily saying what you guys are saying is incorrect, or in 25 years from now, if the water doesn't rise, then does everything change? And if not, we want to comply, but what is the smartest thing for us as new home builders? You know, because there's 4 of us that purchased those properties and we want to do what's right. But yet in the same token, we're kind of, you know, our plans are together, we have architects, and we went through what Mr. TJ said in regard to getting all the information that we needed, and, you know, the soil borings and everything, and just don't know where to stand right now. So if you can help with that, that would kind of be my question, because we'd like to move forward. We've been renting here for 5 years and we'd like to build our home, but not do it a foolish way where later on we might have to either raise our house. We'd like to do everything correctly first.
Well, number one, we very much appreciate your situation. Number two, if you think we have that answer, you know, we're all kind of figuring this out as we go.
Okay.
Nonetheless, that said, there are processes in place. I'll turn it over to Councilman Nowicki in a second regarding determining where you would fall relative to the new maps, the real maps. And ultimately, you'll always have the opportunity to, let's say you don't get an application in and you want to build your house at the right level anyway, you will have the opportunity to go to the land use to the extent you need a height variance. But Councilman Nowicki, you're closer to this. So.
Yeah, so again, just to reiterate, we can't give you guidance on what you should or shouldn't do based on what you should build. You have professionals that should be giving you that advice. And I'm not acting as a professional, but okay, so you have codes in place today that you can have permits submitted and approved, you know, by July 20th, and then you could build to those standards. After July 20th, but based on those BL rules staying, those rules, our ordinances will have to change And then where you fall, where your exact property is and what you're figuring out what you want to build there. I would ask my consultant to look and say, what is those real elevations? And see if they can provide you that guidance and say, what would that first floor elevation be? What are my options to doing this? Because again, are you gonna take all of your mechanical equipment if you're down, not do a base input and then hang all your air conditioners and everything up in the air? What is their advice based on this? And that's what you're paying them for. So I would go and say, what are my options? Pre and post, and then what can I do if you're gonna get this approved before July 20th, what can I do to ensure that I have the most resilient home that I can build for the rest of your lifetime, your children's lifetime, or to the year 2100?
Well, I'll use your forceful language that I used before against you, that you said you built and you wish that you had known prior. So that's what I'm trying to avoid is,
Yeah.
to be compliant, but yet in the same token, be conservative in the sense of being clear of what would, possibly be a mistake of having, water in the basement on a flood. I mean, Sandy was 2012. So I mean, it's been a distance since I've seen water in the town, but yet in the same token, I understand, can it come? Yeah. Is it absolutely coming? We don't know.
It may not be in our lifetime, it may never come.
Correct.
These are all
Correct.
predictive models. So,
Yeah.
but again, what's driving all this is regulation, and so you're building to regulation.
Okay.
So it comes down to your timing.
Okay.
And then how much you want to do to be resilient pre or post July 20th.
Well, that's where it comes into where you'll let me have my house almost as tall as Mr. Paul that lives in my neighborhood. So I think
Well,
that's
there may
where.
be, you may be able to do that. I don't know how tall your ceilings are, all
Yeah.
that comes into
Well,
play.
we're stuck right now, like you said before, at 35 feet. And you just don't want to take, a nice roof that you have and it's really only possibly a foot or so, because we would want to come up to where we're out of the.
Which then you'd have to come in front of this planning board to be able to say, hey, we want to vote a zoning variance to go higher than 35 feet.
Yeah.
Which creates a whole nother, something that would have to be considered. So it's a complicated, that's what I'm saying, it's a
It's a
complicated.
complicated situation. Where they measure the 35 feet from, is it from the street, the curb?
It's the average grade of your.
Average grade? Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions in the room? I see a couple of hands. I don't know who's G Malik, is it G?
GMA LLC.
GMA LLC. Your hand is raised, you have the floor.
This is Gregory Fehrenbach from 408 Bradley Boulevard. I wanted to comment on Resolution 2026-94, authorizing the appointment of a permanent CFO to a statutory term of 4 years. Is the governing body aware that Mitchell Syme is the owner of Clear Edge Political Consulting, LLC? What controls are being placed on the proposed employee to segregate the financial professional CFO responsibilities from his other non-financial professional political endeavors? My second question is, while the annual salary is being shown in the resolution, what will the other elements of the compensation package be? Third, with the appointment of a permanent CFO, what is the status of government educators' contract? Will Jeanette Larrison's role end with this appointment? Fourth, the 2025 AFS is not yet on the website and has not been filed with the Division of Local Government Services by the due date of March 10th, a week ago. When will it be filed and posted on the website? And lastly, with another change in the CFO, may I please be advised when my request of over a year ago for a cost out of the UFCW Local 152 contract, when will it be available? Thank you.
Mr. Fairbank, I started taking notes late. Just quick highlight the first two questions you asked.
The first one was dealing with segregation of the financial professional CFO responsibilities from the other non-financial professional political endeavors that would be carried out through Clear Edge Political Consulting LLC.
And the second,
What are the other elements of the compensation package other than the salary, which is set forth in the resolution?
okay, I'll do my best to cover these. So segregation of responsibilities, as far as I recall, I believe there are none documented. Matt, are there any specific restrictions or requirements we've placed on Mr. Sign?
Before we hired him, we knew that he had other business endeavors, political in nature. They will not touch upon Bradley Beach. They will not touch upon Bradley Beach. And, you know, he will fully disclose any type of financial entanglements he may potentially have that may potentially involve Bradley Beach. But in the past, there have been none, and currently there are none.
Okay, thank you. Item two, the other elements of compensation. There are no other elements of compensation tied to salary or bonus. I would consider compensation also including like medical benefits or pension eligibility and things like that. And his contract is designed, as our other professionals who are not in the union, to parallel what's available to the union. The Jeanette Larison role is, we've had numerous discussions. I personally have had numerous discussions with Ms. Larison, who's served for the past 8 or so months, or I'm sorry, closer to 9 months, 10 months as our CFO. She and I have both agreed that we want her to stay on for a transition period. She had a recent death in her family. We were going to talk 2 weeks ago. As recently as this morning, she and I traded emails. She's coming in tomorrow. Finally, that was her first availability. As I will be on a flight on vacation, I won't be able to talk to her directly. Mr. Doherty will have conversations. We've asked her to put together a contract for us. So I guess the best answer I can give you, Mr. Fehrenbach, is both parties have expressed mutual interest in keeping her on and helping Mr. Sign transition into his new role, but we don't have that formalized yet. As far as the AFS, my understanding is our auditor has helped prepare that, and now Mr. Sign and Ms. Larison are working on it. Again, we've had to deal with a couple of personal family issues that have delayed us a little bit, but we expect that to be completed within the next 2 weeks, hopefully by the end of this month. And the cost out for the Local 152, I have had that conversation with Ms. Larison. I provided all of the salary information, including the retro payments detail, Excel spreadsheet level detail of the retrospective payments that were made related to the back pay owed for over 2 years, 2 years and a quarter maybe, of salaries to resolve that contract dispute. But in terms of the actual filing of the document, I need an update from Ms. Larison. Again, I've shared a lot of information with her. She has not yet requested additional information, but I will follow up with her within probably a week from now. As I mentioned, I'll be on a plane tomorrow, and I'll send her a note this evening to just to try to pin that down for you. But at this point, I don't have a date.
Thank you for those responses.
Okay, thank you for the questions. Other questions, Mr. Weber? John Weber?
Hi, I have questions on ordinances 20 and 22. And is number 20, is it just that simple that we're prohibiting people blowing or raking or sweeping, whatever, like stuff into the street, like leaves and whatnot into the street? Is it just That's the way I read it, but is it just that so simple, and where's this coming from?
It's just that simple.
That's-
It started off with some initial discussions that we had regarding leaf blowers, which we have tabled. And originally, when we were looking at the ordinance, it wasn't appropriate to put them both leaf blower, which hasn't been considered yet, as well as the waste from the leaf blowers in the same ordinance. But we wanted to continue on with regards to the waste management of blowing debris into the streets and then into the storm sewers.
Got
So
it. Good job. Appreciate it. And then on number 22, this talks about you have to get a permit for a structure in the planting strips or right of way. What kind of structures are we considering in the planting strips or right of ways? I don't really, I can't think of any structures in there, but
I think it's a catch-all phrase, but this came about due to a loophole, due to the fact that the code enforcement were not able to enforce the regulations against curb cuts. So if somebody made a curb cut that was too wide, it couldn't be enforced. So this allows that enforcement to happen.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was also gonna ask Mr. Cannon, who helped us draft this language. I know that was a good summary. Anything else to add, though, Mr. Cannon?
No, that's what it just brings structures within the right of way, within the gambit. It wasn't necessarily clear, so.
Yeah, and as Mr. Carpenter said, it was brought to our attention by our code enforcement that and zoning that they attempted to address concerns about curb cuts, and they found out that we didn't have the authority in our ordinance.
Being more specific, it's not just, some legal theory, right? So we require road opening permits for work within the right of way. And unlike a UCC permit, like if you were building a shed, the UCC permit would automatically ask our employees for the prior approval, aka the zoning permit. But the street opening permit currently doesn't have an administrative function to seek the prior approval. And so this ordinance then allows us to put prior right-of-way improvement regulated by zoning regulation, and basically essentially put a checkbox for prior approval on the road opening permit so that we catch, so someone can't install a larger than is allowed curb cut, which costs us parking and aggravates the neighbors to no end.
Right.
So that's the practical reason how this came up, is we don't actually have a checkbox for prior approval. And while we haven't had a mistake yet, they were concerned about that because obviously that's a sensitive issue itself. So that's the actual genesis of it, not just like a leap we thought of. It was very practical.
Great. I appreciate it. As long as no one's building like statues in the planting strips, I'm happy. So thank you. Great.
Out of my comfort.
Thanks for the question, and thanks, Mr. Cannon, for that response. Tracy's iPhone has their hand raised.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I just wanted to comment on the hiring of a full-time CFO. As somebody who was on the Charter Study Commission, I am thrilled to see this. It is something that came up a lot in our discussions and also our discussions with employees. Not only the revolving door of BAs, but the revolving door of CFOs was a problem too. So I think this is a great move. I know that maybe people would think it's something we can't afford. I think we can't not afford to do this. So I am very happy with it, and I'm glad to see the council doing this. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Tracy?
Yes?
Can you just state your address for me?
Oh, 304 4th.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comment, Ms. Davidson. Mr. Cohen.
Sure. Thomas J. Cohen, 612 3rd Avenue. Regarding that question from one of the Zoom folks, what is Mr. Seam's previous employment?
He's actually with us tonight. His most recent employment, he's been a deputy CFO. What's the right?
Assistant CFO.
Assistant CFO. Within the past year or so, completed a 4-year program studying to become a CMFO, has passed his exams with flying colors, and was operating as an assistant CMFO in what town, sir?
Tom's River Township for about 2.5 years.
Tom's River Township. So prior to that, he has a separate consulting business.
Sure.
I think that's what Mr. Fehrenbach was. referring
Yeah,
to.
I believe so, but that didn't have any impacts on your employment in Tom's River, did it?
No, did not.
Perfect, thank you, and I echo the comments of Ms. Davidson, who was on the commission with me. It did come up a lot, and it's been a very long time since we've had a full-time CFO, so the time is right. Thank you, Mr. Ryan.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Anita.
Anita Nazario, 116 North Avenue. I have a question about numbers 92 and 93. Are these on the agenda because they're asking for later end times, or has the required end time been moved later?
The block parties?
Yes, because a few years ago, I inquired about doing one, and we were told that we had to end by 6.
That's because you guys are particularly rowdy.
Yeah, not even 10 or 11 would. You're right.
I'm gonna turn to the chief. Chief, do you have any knowledge of end times of?
I don't believe it's 6 o'clock without having it in front of me. Pretty sure
I think,
it's
isn't it like 8?
8,
Well, one says 9 o'clock, so.
yeah,
Okay,
it's 8 or 9.
yeah.
Okay, so then we could possibly get an extension on that for a special occasion? Once a year?
But it still has to stay within, I think it's 4 hours.
Yeah, the 4-hour time frame.
Okay.
So your question is for the crazy people on Newark Avenue?
The party people.
She's thinking 10 PM to 2 AM.
6 PM to 2 AM. Crazy's a vague term.
But seriously, what is your interest in the time?
We do this annual Newark Avenue party at the end of the summer. And it's grown significantly over the years, so I looked into doing it on the street, and it usually goes from 6 to midnight, 1 AM.
Oh.
Well, you heard it here first.
Ours says that no block party is not a time. The block party cannot go past 30 minutes before dusk.
Yes, that's.
So you can't have the road closed when they start. That's basically the rule.
Oh, see, that's what, at the time that I called, it was the 6 o'clock thing, so I guess.
I don't know what
we'll have
time
to
it's
move
getting
it
dark
into-
that time of year, but
Yeah.
yeah, so it's 30 minutes before dusk. The party cannot be before 12 noon. Must end 30 minutes before dusk, and the maximum time limit is 4 consecutive hours.
Okay, well,
So that's the end. That's.
stays- I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you. I did not know those details myself.
Actually makes a lot of sense to not have the road closed in the dark. That's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not have our residents hit by cars who don't know what hurts them.
Yeah.
All right, any other comments or questions? Seeing none, I'll move on to ordinances. Item 9 on our agenda. We have 1, 2, 3 ordinance introductions. I'll remind everybody that with ordinance introductions, we do not offer public comment other than if you had asked the question earlier. The council will briefly discuss each. When we get to adoptions, we will open it up to public comment. And of course, when we introduce ordinances, you have at least 2 weeks, sometimes more, depending on whether it's a zoning related ordinance or not. To study this, research it further, and then come back when we're meeting to adopt. So again, there will be no public comment for introductions, but I'm gonna start with bond ordinance 2026-14. And do we have an engineer on the council by any chance?
Not a hired engineer, this is a former engineer.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yeah, so bond ordinance 2026-14. This is basically, we had adopted this ordinance and passed it back in September last year. This is part of the overall program. We received $2 million from DEP to finish the design of the rest of the sewer system. Half the sewer system has been completed. This is completing the rest of it from Fifth Avenue all the way to Lake Terrace, including Main Street and Ocean Avenue. And so this is the design, was a $2 million that was passed back in September. Because we are putting all this into a program and we're going to be issuing contracts by avenue. As you recall, last year, we just completed Fifth Avenue from Main Street to Fletcher Lake Road, or to Madison, actually. And so now we are going to be issuing a new contract. We're going to advertise it here this spring to complete Fifth Avenue from Madison Avenue to Ocean Avenue. And so that we can, instead of passing new ordinances and having all these things jumbled of this program, we're gonna be ultimately borrowing money from the New Jersey Infrastructure Bank to pay for the construction. We also have DOT money that's paying for the resurfacing of the roadways. And so what we're trying to do is put all this into one ordinance, because we have one loan number from the New Jersey Infrastructure Bank. So we are trying to get this more transparent, more clearly organized, that it's all under one ordinance. And what you will see over time is the next one will be Ocean Park Avenue. We'll be getting moving forward with construction. So, and then Main Street, and that's et cetera. So all of these will be coming on, and we will continue to amend this particular ordinance to add on the next section of construction contract. And so one day in the future, you'll see, you know, here's Fifth Avenue, here's Brinley, here's Main Street, and here was the cost for every single one of them, and it will all be contained into this one ordinance. What grants we're getting for it, what we're borrowing from and authorizing through the bond to basically fund the to ensure the loan that we will ultimately get from the DEP. So with what this piece is right here, 1.6 million is for the construction of the Fifth Avenue from Madison to Ocean Avenue. We're hopefully going to advertise that here this spring. We're waiting for DEP to give our final sign off. And this bond will basically allow us to advertise and then borrow from the New Jersey Infrastructure Bank to pay for this construction. It's a $1.6 million. There's a couple $100,000 there for inspection work and contingency. And then there's also the construction is roughly $1.5 million. And what we are doing is going to be getting grants to offset that. And that's why there's an authorization. If you read deeper into this, the authorization number is 1.1, not 1.5, because we do have like $500,000 of grants from the DOT for the resurfacing. So there's a lot packed into this. And by doing it this way, organizing it, we'll be able to look at this as we go forward with this program. And then I've also asked the mayor that what we want to be able to do is a workshop here very soon, here in April, that we could actually present the entire program of all the sewer replacements, what we're looking to do, what the timing of that looks like, and how and which contracts we're going to move forward with, and what the costs are on those. So, and what this whole thing looks like, and what does it mean to ultimately, you know, the rates and how, what borrowing rates are we going to have, and how does it affect the ratepayer down the road? And so that's going to be coming. And then this ordinance is specifically for adding the Fifth Avenue from Ocean Avenue to Madison for the construction and inspection.
And what you just summarized in a couple of minutes took our bond counsel a couple of extra weeks to summarize in writing, because there are a lot of complexities and moving pieces here. And what you didn't mention, Councilman, is thanks to the efforts of yourself and Councilwoman Greenblatt, we've secured not only pretty good grant funding, but the borrowing is a pretty good rate as well.
So, yeah, and we actually qualify for $2 million of principal forgiveness from the New Jersey Infrastructure Bank. So basically, principal forgiveness that will pay for the actual construction, $2 million. So that will end up pretty much covering the cost of both the Fifth Avenue and Ocean Park. So, and at the end of the day, we won't have to borrow anything for this first phase of completion of Fifth and the first segment of Ocean Park.
And to the extent we need to borrow in the future, you've secured a fairly good interest rate.
Yeah, so the way the infrastructure, what we qualified and got grandfathered into, we no longer qualify at post July, but we got grandfathered into a program that allowed us to borrow at 0% interest for 75% of the construction cost, and then bond rate at 25% of the construction. So it's the cheapest money that we could find, and beats the bonding. So it's a great program, and you know, Sean and myself, Councilwoman Greenblatt, and I worked on this for like the last year. So it's really been a great program, and we're excited about bringing and sharing all of it and putting it out, and have the engineer come. Suburban Engineering is the ones that are going to be leading this initiative, and they're going to be presenting on this. And you know, little heads up, Main Street has to happen sooner than later, and we're looking at Main Street in the fall. Not to let the cat out of the bag, but that's going to be pretty disruptive. But that's really critical because of other work that's going to be happening on Main Street in the future.
No, actually, Paul said it all.
Okay, so with that.
Thank you, Cal. So, so with that said, any other questions or comments for the council? Councilman, you care to make a motion?
So the motion is for bond ordinance 2026-14, amending in part bond ordinance 2025-26 adopted on September 2nd, providing for the sanitary sewer improvements, expand the scope of the improvements to include Fifth Avenue and Park Place sewer replacement.
Second.
At all.
I'll second the introduction of that.
Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Carp?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatose?
Yes. Okay, the next ordinance for introduction is ordinance 2026-22. And I will turn to Councilman Clark to then provide an overview.
Thank you, Mayor. So as we know, anytime a property owner wants to change the use of their property or building, construction or otherwise alter the building, an application needs to be made to zoning. And the amendment to this ordinance regarding chapter 450 of zoning closes a loophole that we talked about a little earlier. And now requires an application to be made for zoning for any additions or alterations in public easements, right of ways, which also includes curb cuts. So it was just in order to close a loophole to help enforcement. And
any comments or questions?
no,
All right.
well, not seeing any, I would like to make a motion to approve the introduction of ordinance 2026-22, amending chapter 450 zone.
Second.
Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Carp?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatose?
Yes. Ordinance 2026-23, which is an ordinance amendment chapter 314 nuisances public of the borough's revised general ordinances to prohibit sleeping, camping and overnight occupancy on public property. This request came to us actually from our chief of police, just to help the borough address folks who may just decide to camp out on public property and stay overnight. This helps give our police department a little more flexibility in terms of how they manage such occurrences. Chief, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, I just appreciate council, mayor, you guys considering this. Is basically, you know, obviously our first goal is to assist anybody that, you know, maybe is homeless or dealing with mental health, things like that. We have plenty of resources available to us through the county, through the state. But there is occurrences where someone is just adamant, they don't want any help. Or, you know, maybe they've been banned from, you know, shelters, whether it's criminal behavior, just bad behavior, so on and so forth. And there's just sometimes you run into persons that are just, they don't want any help. And, you know, they could set up camp, you know, on the beachfront, anywhere in parks and public property. And we're just kind of, once all those avenues are exhausted and we try to help these people, you know, we just have nothing to fall back on. So it'll just be for those types of instances.
All right, thank you, Chief. Thanks for bringing this to our attention. Any other comments or questions from the council? All right, seeing no other comments, I'll make a motion that we adopt ordinance 2026-23.
Second.
Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Carp?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatose?
Yes. Okay, now we get to the adoption of ordinances, and this is where the public will have an opportunity to comment on each and every one of these items. So after the council has any additional comments. So ordinance 2026-15 is the ordinance that we introduced a few weeks back that allows us to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limit and to establish a cap bank. Obviously, we discussed this a couple weeks ago, but any other comments or questions?
Okay.
Okay, seeing none, I'll make a motion that we open it up to public comment.
Second.
Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Carp?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatose?
Yes. Before I open it to public comment, I realized that we've got a reference to chapter 451, but I skipped that intentionally, but in case anyone's following along at home. we never did,
It's been removed.
okay, it's on my copy, that's fine.
I'm sorry, didn't I give you a new copy of the agenda?
I do, and I'm using the wrong one.
Mark up our original copies.
Okay.
That's right, you took one home, okay,
Okay.
never mind.
So ignore chapter 451, folks. You're gonna have a really wonderful 451 lesson in a few weeks from now. Okay, so back to ordinance. Now we are on 2026-16, amending chapter 1, general provisions of our ordinances.
We can.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
close it and approve it.
I got flushed.
You wanna go on vacation.
I'm just so excited about skipping 451. I lost control.
We're in the adoption stage, just made the motion.
So,
to
yeah,
open.
and I have opened it to public comment.
I don't think there's any comments, yes.
Where are all the hands? All the. Okay, no comments publicly here. No, nothing on. Tracy's iPhone is not her.
That's a cursor.
Okay, so seeing none, I will make a motion that we close public comment and adopt 2026-15.
Second. Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gutierrez?
Okay, ordinance 2026-16. I'm gonna turn this one over to Councilwoman Greenblatt.
Great, thank you, Mayor. This ordinance 2026-16 is amending chapter 1, general provisions of the borough's revised general ordinances to revise and update the local supplemental violations bureau schedule. And this is largely a few changes in parking violations related to special parking for handicap spaces, and also updating violations for snow parking. And just based on the experiences we had this past winter. So there are significant increases in these, and it's because really of public safety. So is there anyone who has any questions?
No, I have one comment, and that is, I didn't, perhaps you referenced it as I was looking away, but most of these are in fact snow related, but there's one that's related to the special permit parking. It's a significant increase. I don't have it in front of me, but the dollars are roughly $60, moving us triple that perhaps.
Right, from 62 to 274 for the
There.
violation.
And the 274 is intended to be equal to any other offense where someone parks in a handicap spot. These are private handicap spots that were not moved at the same dollar amount as public official handicap spots. So that was the goal of that particular.
Thank you for sharing that. So if there are no other comments, I would like to make a motion to open this to public comment.
Second. Mr. Noble? Ms.
Yes.
Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gutierrez?
Yes.
Any comments, questions?
I have a question. I did a lot of snow removal over on 104 Brindley, because that's where we live. If you go on vacation or something and you know, what do? Like, in other words, you know, you wanna move, but yet you're wrong. But, you know, in that case, what can you do? Is there any place that you could put your vehicle if you know that maybe a storm is coming, or like the mayor's going on vacation for a week or two and it just so happens to snow? You know, that you innocently left it, but because we live next to the apartments next to us, and I see that the vehicles are there and we dug people out, you know, and so, you know, I saw the instances where their cars weren't moved. And, you know, we moved our vehicles and we helped a lot of folks over there, but, you know, just a thought for you guys on, you know, can they call in, you know, my car can't move, or whatever the case might be.
So I know, running into the same exact problem and knowing that there was a snowstorm and we were gonna be gone, I left my keys with my neighbors.
Right.
To be able to move the car, because just saying I'm away and leaving the car there is not a sufficient excuse.
Yeah.
To.
We did, you know, we helped folks with that,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
the apartments are. You know, you a lot of the folks you don't know, just that, you know, you might wind up with, you know, because some comments online where, you know, told them and what have you, and, you know, it's kind of difficult for people to just, you know, foresee, just a thought.
It depends, but sometimes, yeah.
Any other comments, questions? On Zoom? Okay, so with no other questions, I'd like to make a motion to close the public comment and to adopt ordinance 2026-16.
Second. Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Carp?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubitosi?
Yes. Moving to ordinance 2026-20. I'm trying to save my voice tonight so I can party in tropical locations.
And it's not for 2 weeks, 5 days.
I'm gonna ask, Mr. Carp, Councilman Carp, to once again handle 2026-20.
Sure, thank you. So ordinance 2026-20 amends chapter 286 regarding littering, solid waste and recyclable collection. Short and sweet is, in this amendment, we have added the provision to prevent people from blowing, sweeping, or otherwise placing grass clippings, leaves, dirt, or any other debris into the street, catch basins, storm drains, or any other component of Bradley's stormwater system. We know that we want to do this because it blocks up the storm drains. It puts undue waste into our stormwater management system and eventually winds up in the lakes and in the ocean. Any questions from council?
I might, again, a comment. Our environmental commission came to us as well, and I know, Mr. Carp, you were involved in some of those early discussions. And you alluded to this earlier, but the focus was on gas blowers from a noise standpoint, but possibly equal concern around the actual, depositing of the debris into the storm drains. So I compliment you on the fact that you took the noise and the waste and you separated them. We are in another meeting or two, we'll be having an ordinance amendment on noise for the gas blowers. But for tonight, at least we're able to deal with the waste. So thank you for taking that action.
Any other questions? All right, then I would like to make a motion to open this up for public comment.
Second.
Mr. Noble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Carp?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubitosi?
Yes.
I have a question. What is the difference in between when on the calendar that you want us to put home, branches or whatever in the street opposed to, what you're saying is that people are actually putting the stuff into the storm drain opposed to us putting it into the street for pickup?
So this doesn't affect any of the, when you put your
Branches.
leaf pickup, when you put it, so this doesn't affect that. And it's very common to see landscapers who are cleaning up, who blow all of the debris from the driveways, the sidewalks, and they blow it into the street.
Right,
and then
right.
they blow it to the neighbor's street, so it's not in front of their street, it's now in front of somebody else's street.
Okay, yeah, I agree. I don't want to be friends with the chief on it that way.
Can I just get your name and address, please?
Sure, 320, well, we live at 104 Brindley,
Uh-huh.
but we bought the property at 321 Lorraine.
Okay, and your name?
Oh, Frank.
Frank.
Aloia.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. West.
Hi, Bob West, 518 Newark there. So just to clarify that, so now adoption of this actually makes that illegal to do that, correct?
Yes.
So if we have a few neighbors, which I do, who randomly or continually clear out their property and their neighbor's property and send it down the street, so it's away from theirs, what would one to do?
Well, it's almost like, it's a great question. I imagine a lot of people are having a similar question. Probably no difference than any other violation that you might observe, if our police, our code enforcement, if anyone sees that happening, they'll act accordingly. Obviously, we don't always have a person in place for catching any violation. But if you or anyone else were to mention it to code enforcement, in this case, the borough would be able to take action on it.
Could you get a copy of that ordinance in like a printout that I could anonymously stick it on?
Well, they're actually, they're posted to the website, so they're all public documents.
Yes, that's assuming the person doing this goes to the website.
Oh, no, well, you can print it out.
Oh, I was.
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
Mr. Doherty, didn't you also mention that there's an app that is available for making complaints?
Yes, yes, what was the name of that?
So there's an app as well.
Okay.
Gov Alert, GOV ALERT. Gov Alert.
It's a little difficult to find it though today, right, Mr. Doherty? It's a couple clicks into the website.
On the website, it's very difficult to find, but on Apple.
Oh,
App
yeah.
Store, yeah.
Apple Store, Google, it's an app, and it's easier on your phone, because then you can take a picture and it geolocates it. Just send it to us and we'll automatically distribute it, whether it's go to the police department, Department of Public Works, things like that. So you don't have to call, you don't have to. Just let us know.
And Greg
Yeah,
Cannon,
Gov Alert.
could you just remind us what day this actually does go into effect as we're reading it today?
Gestapo or
Like
whatever.
when can these,
20 days following publication.
how many days?
20 days,
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Following
So-
publication, when does publication occur, Erica?
the day after we adopted.
Publication will occur on Thursday. Okay.
So 20 days from Thursday, it will be effective. Right. Well, thank you.
Well, actually, it's 20 days from the adoption.
Oh, okay, from adoption.
Yeah,
of
so
publication.
April 7th, I believe, is the 20-day stop period.
Just in case his neighbor blows on that specific
Mhm.
day.
You got that? Yes, April 7th.
All right.
Any other questions, comments? All right, then I'd make a motion to close the public comment and approve ordinance 2026-20, amending chapter 286, littering, solid waste and recyclable collections.
Second,
Ms. DeNoble?
yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Cart?
Yeah.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatosi?
Yes. Item 10 on the agenda, and that concludes ordinances, by the way. Communications, there are none. Item 11, resolutions. We have consent agenda resolution items 2026-87 through 2026-93. Does the council want to comment or vote on any of these items separately?
That's good.
Okay, in that case, I will make a motion that we approve consent agenda resolutions 2026-87 through 2026-93.
Second. Ms. DeNoble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Cart?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatosi?
Yes. Okay, moving to individual resolutions, we are extremely excited about the next item, 2026-94. Because this is in fact confirming the appointment of our new CFO. Who will be a full-time CFO, and the borough is very excited to have him come aboard. But before we vote, any comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, I will make a motion that we approve 2026-94, confirming the 4-year appointment of Mitchell Seam as Chief Financial Officer for the Borough of Bradley Beach.
Second,
Ms. DeNoble?
yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Cart?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatosi?
Yes. And now our new Chief Financial Officer, would you mind standing, taking a bow, introducing yourself to our community?
I want to respond. I've got an opportunity to speak with the mayor, meet a lot of the employees, the last couple of days. And, I'm real excited to be, here to help the community with their finances and, I got a chance to speak with the mayor about some of the things he's wanting to implement in the future going forward to really get things going in the right direction, and I'm excited to be a part of it. So I really thank you all for the opportunity.
Thank you, and thank you for joining us tonight. It's great to have you with us.
Mitch, just for, what is the proper pronunciation of your last name?
A sign.
Sign. Okay.
So are you Mitch number 1 or Mitch number 2?
We agreed, he's Mitch and I'm Mitchell.
Ah,
So there you go.
now you tell us.
Do we need a resolution or? No?
I got your bitch on your shirt.
That's okay.
Give it to me.
Thank you, Mitchell, for confirming that. All right, we will move to individual resolution 2026-95. I'm gonna turn this one over to Councilman Nowicki, actually, the next two to Councilman Nowicki.
Okay, so, resolution 2026-95, approval to submit an award extension for, FY 2023 LTPF Sylvan Lake Improvement Project. This is the replacement of the, wall that we had, multiple meetings on the bulkhead that runs along Bradley Boulevard from, basically from Evergreen, intersection of Evergreen to Madison Avenue. The plans, permits are in place, the plans are completed. They are at the DOT. Anytime you have a grant and you're doing work underneath one of the agencies, they review everything. Those plans were submitted to them back in January. And we are waiting for their approval so that we can go to advertisement. The grant stipulated that we would have to award by April 12th, I believe was the date. And so although we were being told that the approval is imminent, we want to make sure that we don't jeopardize this grant in any way. So we've asked the DOT to extend that grant so we could have an award once we receive their comments and not jeopardize the funding. So with that, we are extending that date 3 months out, so that's June 12th or something like that. So with that, I'd like to propose we adopt individual resolution 2026-95.
Second. Ms. DeNoble? Yes. Ms. Greenblatt? Yes. Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatosi?
Yes, and 96 as well.
And then 96, authorizing the award of a proposal for professional engineering services with CME Associates for the 2026 Municipal Public Access Plan, MPAP, updates. So we are required every 5 years to update what is our municipal access plan. This basically defines where we have parking, where we don't have parking, where how do we provide ADA compliant access to our public facilities along the beach. What improvements are we going to be doing along the beach? What access points, which ones are ADA, which ones aren't, what are we proposing into the future? So all of this information is compiled into what is called municipal access plan. We submit it to the DEP, and then the DEP reviews it, offers comment, and then ultimately will approve our plan. Other agencies depend upon this as well. If they look at, things in there that we may say are restricting access, that type of thing. So it really defines our municipal requirements broadly across the borough. So again, this is expired. It's 5 years, and so we need to update that plan. And so with that, I'd like to motion that we approve Resolution 2026-96, authorizing award of professional services with CME Associates for 2026 Municipal Access Plan updates.
Second. Ms. DeNoble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt? Yes. Mr. Carr?
Yes, and I just also want to say that I think it's important because if we don't do it, the DEP will do it for us. And we want to maintain that control over how we provide that public access. So yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatosi?
Yes. Item 2026-97 is supporting Assemblyman Sawicki's legislation bill, I believe A4017. This is requiring ownership information when residential rental housing is purchased by limited liability corporations. It's basically when you have a limited liability corporation, a lot of times it obscures or hides the underlying owners, making it difficult sometimes for municipalities to understand the nature of the owners, the size of the families and so forth. So this is, basically attempting to pierce that veil. And the Assemblyman reached out to municipalities everywhere, I presume, asking for their support. Our council, I believe, feels that this is strong legislation. So we are going to vote on passing a resolution to support his efforts in the Assembly. So any comments or questions on this? Okay, seeing none, I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 2026-97.
Second. Ms. DeNoble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt? Yes. Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatosi?
Yes. 2026-98, authorizing negotiations for recreations support vendor competitive contract under New Jersey statutes. Our rec center has conducted 2 RFPs asking for bids to take on a role where an independent vendor would hold classes, yoga, whatever, at our rec center and pay us a percentage just to create greater programming, create some more revenue for the borough. However, I believe we have not had a bidder now twice, so now we are free. We, the Borough of Bradley Beach, are free to solicit, vendors and, strike a deal. And that's what this resolution is authorizing. Any comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, I will make a motion that we approve 2026-98.
Second.
Ms. DeNoble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatosi?
Yes. Next is 2026-99. I'll briefly explain this, but then I think we'll want to, I'll make a motion to make a minor edit to the language here. But what 2026-99 is about, it's authorizing a contract for beach mats. And we have beach mats in place today that are 10 foot wide. We have them basically on 3 beaches. Our goal over time is to extend them to all beaches. Primarily useful, certainly useful for handicapped individuals, especially wheelchair bound. But beyond that, young parents with kids and strollers and whatever, just general people walking 2-way traffic, a lot easier on a 10 foot wide mat than the current ones we have, which are 5 feet wide, or 4 feet wide. So we conducted bids for these mats. Between this resolution and the next one, I'll cover this story quickly. We had we bid this, we rejected the first round of bids, we bid it again. With the second round of bidding, we had 2 bidders. The low bidder, actually, there were questions about their ability to, the wording would be to adequately meet the standards that were required in our bid specs. We had an engineer come out to assess the mats. The engineer provided us with his opinion, documented that that low cost bidder did not adequately meet the standards required in our bid specs. Therefore, the next resolution will be to reject the low cost bidder. The next bidder does adequately meet our standards, and this resolution is to authorize the awarding of that contract to the second bidder. However, Erica, there's just a little language that Councilwoman Greenblatt brought to our attention, and it's in the third whereas.
If you could just make the
I will. I'm gonna.
adjustment on the resolution, then give it to me.
I'm gonna give it to you as soon as,
Yep.
but I'd like to read it. To you,
Yes,
everybody.
please.
And Mr. Cannon, if you might want to help us with this, but the third whereas, the borough received 2 bid submissions by that date at 11 a.m. It says as follows. Now, we're only listing the bidder who we're awarding the business to. What I'd like to do is strike, and I welcome comment from the council. I'd like to strike the words as follows, and after 11 a.m. comma, insert wording that says, however, only one bidder adequately met the standards required, colon. And that would then lead us to the table.
Could also replace the word 2 with 1 acceptable bid.
Received 1 acceptable bid. That also sounds reasonable. One,
But I would say 1 responsive and acceptable bid is, that's the legal term of art.
1 responsive and acceptable.
Yes. That's the easiest way to revise it, to be clear. We originally listed both when we got 2 bids, and then it was determined later that one wasn't acceptable. That's why I think that's the nature of the typo there.
Okay, so let me restart this conversation. Following that whereas, the borough received 1 number 1 responsive and acceptable bid. Submission by February 24th, 2026 at 11 a.m. as follows.
Yep.
And
And then keep the grid as it is, right?
Sorry,
Keep the grid as it is?
keep the grid as it is.
Yeah, okay.
Now, I will make a motion a second to change that language. One other thing I want to make clear to the public, this gives per item cost. These are items are sizes of mats. So a 10 foot wide by 33 is item 1, a 10 foot wide by 50 is item 2. The question might be out there, how many items are we buying here? And in year 1 at these prices, we're spending approximately $180,000. We have to get shipping. Shipping's gonna be a couple grand. But roughly $180,000. These mats should cover 3 more beaches which will be roughly half of our total beach entrances, given the 3 we already have covered. So, and it's structured this way on a per item basis, because what we, our QPA structured it this way, so we would be able to avail ourselves of these prices, not only for this year, but for next year as well. Next year, we may have different units, but we'll get the same pricing. So with all that said, before we vote on this resolution, I'm gonna make a motion that we change the wording, as I mentioned, in whereas number 3, to strike, 2, the number 2, and replace that with 1 responsive and acceptable. Now we'll continue the word bid, submission, singular, by February 24th, 2026 at 11 a.m. as follows, colon. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. DeNoble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Carp?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatose?
Yes. Now I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 2026-99 as amended.
Second.
Ms. DeNoble? Ms.
Yes.
Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Carp?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatose?
Yes. The next resolution is 2026-100, our 100th resolution of the year. And this is authorizing the rejection of a bid submitted by Access Rec LLC for their bid number 26R-11 beach access matting system. And we do have a written documentation. Our engineer joined myself and our business administrator for a demonstration to basically demonstrate compatibility with our existing mats. And it was opined by our engineer that the demonstration just was not successful and that they did not meet the standards required. So for that reason, I will make a motion. Well, first of all, is there any comment or question? So with that reason, I will make a motion that we approve 2026-100, which is authorizing the rejection of the bid submittal from Access Rec LLC.
Second.
Ms. DeNoble?
Yes.
Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Carp?
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubatose?
Yes. Okay, item number 12, announcements. We have none. Item 13A, the exciting part of every agenda, the administrative report, Mr. Doherty.
Yes, I will keep mine short, sweet, want to wish the council and all the members of the public a very happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm glad I can be with all of you here tonight.
You're not holding.
High rocks.
You know, I also.
I think it's the only lie you told us here, Doherty.
I'm a politician, I've taken many. But I do want to mention, I do want to educate as often as I can, Mayor, you know that, it's an important part to me. That there have been 23 people, a little more than half, of all the presidents of the United States that can trace their heritage back to Ireland. Unfortunately, Mayor, have been no presidents that trace their heritage back to Italy. But St. Patrick himself does trace his heritage back to Italy.
That's right.
And that's the one that counts.
That's the most useless report I've ever given.
Is that the extent of your?
That's the extent of my.
Only exciting. Well, thank you, sir. We will move on to item 13B on the agenda, which is mayor and council reports. And tonight we will start with Councilman Mitchell.
Right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the first aid squad's operational period ending March 17th, 2026, they responded to 11-day calls and 3 night calls for a total of 14. 8 were for medical, 6 were for fire calls. There were no out-of-town mutual aid requested. The squad hosted the 3rd grade grammar school at the squad, giving them a look into what their squad does, and the total volunteer hours for this period were 48. They're still looking for volunteers for first aid. They offer free training for qualified individuals. Anyone wishing to volunteer for the first aid, applications can be found on the borough's website. I also had the chance to meet with the Department of Community Development. They're heavily into ramping up all of the registrations for landlords, which includes tracking and collecting of the municipal occupancy tax and ensuring compliance for both. Also, a simple change recently made to the dumpster application form and enhanced enforcement. It's clear that if you walk around town, you'll now see all the dumpsters are properly covered when not in use. If John is still there, he'll be very happy. Otherwise, the department is looking forward to having all the construction files scanned in during the upcoming months to alleviate the physical storage issues, but more importantly, make it easier to find and share documents when subject to an OPRA request or otherwise needed. The Environmental Commission will hold their next meeting April 6th at 7 p.m. And that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Greenblatt.
Thank you, Mayor. The Recreation Committee met on Monday, March 9th. Upcoming rec events, tickets are still available for Radio Bingo, March 21st, 6 p.m. at the Fire Hall with the music of the 90s. Tickets are $12 per person. You can go to the rec webpage to purchase tickets for admission. Additionally, tickets will be also sold at the door. Middle and high school age youngsters are invited to participate in Recreation's Glow in the Dark Easter egg hunt, March 27th, 7 p.m. at the Rec Center baseball field. Rain date is Saturday, March 28th, same time. The event is free. The Senior Club's next meeting is Wednesday, March 25th from noon to 3 at the Biasi Center. Mahjong Open Play runs every Friday, 1 to 3 p.m., also at the Biasi Center. Bradley Beach and Neptune City have a shared service agreement for recreation. Please check the recreation webpage for all programs running and open to Bradley Beach residents. Summer Camp 2026 early registration opened yesterday, March 16th for the Bradley and Neptune City residents. For all others, registration opens April 1st. Camp runs from June 29th to August 14th, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Be sure to register early as last year's program filled to extended capacity. New this summer, Bradley Beach and Neptune City will host Marine Science Camp, July 27th to the 31st, Monday through Friday, 9 to 2 p.m. for ages 5 to 14. This program will take place at Memorial Park in Neptune City. Please visit the rec page on the borough site for details and registration. Court striping at the rec center is planned for mid-April with a grand reopening event in mid-May. More details to follow. The Recreation Committee's next meeting is Monday, April 13th, 6:30 p.m. at the rec center. And now on to the Fletcher Lake Commission, who met last Thursday, March 12th. The commission has appointed Bill Grafton as treasurer, replacing longtime treasurer Pam Reinhardt. Many thanks to Pam for her years of service in this role. She will continue to serve on the commission. Bill Grafton also serves as liaison to the Consortium of Area Coastal Lakes, having recently met with the Wesley Lake Commission on shared concerns and practices. Bill will also continue to maintain collaboration with CLONET, Monmouth University's Coastal Lakes Observing Network for environmental monitoring. Solar lights have been purchased by the commission, which member Mark Rosenthal will be installing on the bridge to Ocean Grove. With hints of spring in the air, member Sal Galicetti will be purchasing and planting flowers on behalf of the commission and to adorn the lake. The Fletcher Lake Commission will hold its next meeting Thursday, April 9th, 6 p.m. here in this council chamber. And my final liaison report is for the Arts Council, who met on March 2nd. A warm and lively music improvisation play shop took place Thursday, March 5th at the Biasi Center, led by Arts Council member Abby Khan. Approximately 15 guests came on a rainy evening from as far as Toms River to join in. Many thanks to Abby for her facilitation and musical leadership. Plans are underway for the Arts Council's first annual Arts Day, June 27th at Riley Park. Anyone interested in volunteering to help with the event, please reach out by email to artscouncil@bradleybeachnj.gov or go to the webpage on the borough site. Both seasoned artists and art enthusiasts are welcome. Their next meeting is scheduled for Monday, March 23rd, 6 p.m. at the Biasi Center. Note that this is an evening meeting and, as always, open to the public. And that's my report.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Council President DeNoble.
Thank you, Mayor. The Board of Ed is meeting tonight, so I'll report on that at the next meeting. The Bradley Beach Tourism had a meeting on March 10th. They are looking forward to the soccer festival as it kicks off the World Cup festivities. You got that? So, mark your calendar. June 10th on Newark Avenue Beach from 4 to 7 p.m. They'll have a soccer expo match with FC Monmouth, local sports vendors, huge sports equipment drive, new and gently used to benefit local charities, live music, and a DJ. And they also discussed their summer Saturday concert series, and they're going to do the Thursday night concert series on the beach at Newark Avenue as well. Then we had the meeting for the Shade Tree Commission met on March 11th. And they didn't have any applications, but they are gearing up for the spring planting. As you know, there was a grant and they're going to be planting 66 trees throughout the borough. And they do have the month slated, which is May, but the date is not established just yet. So stay tuned for that. And then on a personal note, I would be remiss if I didn't mention International Women's Day was this month. And I look at the staff here when I walk in the offices and it's all women, except for our illustrious business administrator, Matt Doherty. But how lucky are you to work with a powerhouse of women who keep this community running?
Yes, dear.
They kind of carry Matt.
In addition to the staff, we have women who are department heads, police officers, firefighters, first aid, lifeguards, and volunteers. In fact, some of our volunteers are presidents and vice presidents and chairwomen, and I could go on and on, even our residents. Amazing. So as we celebrate the women running the show this month, it's worth remembering that just over 100 years ago, the scene in this borough would have been unrecognizable. Back then, women weren't allowed to lead these offices, staff these desks, or even cast a simple vote. We stand here today because of the women who sacrificed their right just for the right to speak in this room. They didn't just fight for a ballot, they fought for the future we are currently living, a future where we have 2 women serving on this council and a dedicated female staff driving our community forward. To all the women in this borough today who keep it running, we owe you a debt of gratitude. We support you, we are proud of you, and we thank you. My report. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President. And on that, I will turn to Councilman Nowicki.
Well, just ditto on all that you just said, you know, women make us all better, so that's all I have to say. But no, on that note, I just want to report on the Silver Lake Commission. We'll be meeting here tomorrow, 7 p.m. in this room. And if you haven't been around the lake lately, you should take a ride by where the little island is at Bradley Boulevard and Burlington. And there's an island out there. The 2 swans, our resident swans there have evidently mated, and they are nesting on the island again this year. Last year they had, I think it was like 9 babies, and some of them got eaten by turtles or foxes. But I think 5 or 6 survived, and so anticipate that we'll have more swans. I guess the proper term of a swan is a swan baby. Nobody knows. So. Agler geese. But so those will be probably hatched here in the month of early May. So that's pretty exciting.
Okay.
And then on the police activity report for the reporting period, February 28th to March 15th. On March 1st, 5th Avenue and Main Street, a 33-year-old male from Brick, New Jersey, was arrested and charged with driving under the influence while operating a motor vehicle. There's also issued several additional motor vehicle summonses. Patrolman Daniel Crow made the arrest. On March 4th, 200 block McCabe Avenue, a 21-year-old female from Long Branch was arrested on an outstanding traffic warrant from Upper Freehold Municipal Court. Patrolman Daniel Crow made that arrest also. March 5th, 2026, 615 Main Street, a 63-year-old male from Neptune was arrested and charged with defiant trespassing. He was processed and released on a summons complaint. Patrolman Sean Johnson made the arrest. On March 9th, 2026, Ocean Park Avenue and Madison Avenue, a 32-year-old female from Millstone Township was arrested and charged with disorderly conduct. She was processed and released on a summons complaint. Sergeant Michael Tardillo made that arrest. On March 9th, Ocean Park Avenue, Madison Avenue, a 41-year-old male from Bradley Beach was arrested and charged with driving under the influence while operating a motor vehicle. He was also issued additional motor vehicle summonses. Patrolman Daniel Crow made that arrest with assistance from Sergeant Michael Tardillo. Also on March 9th. March 9th was obviously a busy day. 200 block of Newark Avenue, a 47-year-old male from Bradley Beach was arrested and charged with aggravated assault on a police officer and simple assault. After being taken into custody for simple assault, he bit a Bradley Beach police officer on his arm, causing redness. Redness on bad printing. And then on March 11th, 2026, a 36-year-old male from Long Branch was arrested on an outstanding warrant from Long Branch, New Jersey. Patrolman Anthony Badalmenti made that arrest. So thank you for all the service of your officers, Chief, and that's my report.
We have this
Thank you.
Signet.
signet. Swan baby.
Signet.
Oh, it's a signet.
Yeah.
Signet.
That's what I thought. Signet.
Remember that.
Are we done?
I'm done.
Okay, sorry.
I'm done. No more signets.
Continue to, debate if you like.
Signet.
Thank you, Councilman. I appreciate that. Okay, I'm leading with what might be the most exciting topic of the evening as we compete for audience attention and council comments. Because this borough, with these individuals, I guess, Councilman, you could not join us, but the rest of the council and all of our employees hosted the elementary school third graders. And they have, they're right now studying the US government. They knew who the president was, they understood enough about the structure of the government, and they wanted to understand Bradley Beach government. And they sat right here in this chair, young boys and young women, all aspiring to one day become as successful as we are. I say that tongue in cheek, but they were just a wonderful group of kids to host. They truly did sit in the mayor's chair and slam the gavel, calling the meeting to order 20 times. A lot of picture taking, but it was a lot of fun. Then they got to explore the fire trucks and the jail.
Canine.
And we asked how many want to be mayor one day, and I'd say half the room raised their hand, suckers, But it was so much fun, and the kids I think they had a great time. I think they told us, I wasn't there, but I hear they did say what an awesome day it was. So we've done this historically over the years, and of course, we're going to continue to do it every year as we go forward. But that was first and foremost my number one announcement. I do have two announcements for our library. Normally in these sessions, our librarian, Ashley Foglia, gives me a list of like 32 events, and I don't read them all because there's just too much. But I say, go to the website because it's amazing the amount of programs the library offers. Today, she specifically asked me to mention two events. They are both dance related. I'm looking at a couple of folks that I know are awesome dancers that might want to attend both of these. And anyone else, of course, that wants to tickle that's not Irish. Anyway, anyone who wants to dance. Tuesday, March 24th, 5:30 p.m. And Mr. Kenny, you're invited to join us too.
I don't know to dance, my friend.
No?
So I can dance, I can't play the piano.
Well, in case anyone wants to learn colonial historical dancing in celebration of America's 250th anniversary, they should meet at 5:30 p.m. at the Bradley Beach Firehouse. Get off your feet and dance your way through Revolutionary era America. Dance was the ultimate social interaction of the time of the American Revolution, and learning the popular dances is the first step in experiencing history. This event is sponsored by the Friends of the Bradley Beach Library. Space is limited, registration required. So again, March 24th, next Tuesday. If you're interested, contact Borough Hall. We'll get you to the right people, or contact the library. on Saturday, March 28th, 4 days later, at 10:30, must be in the morning, living the traditions of lion dancing. This is held at the Bradley Beach Library. Come enjoy an educational and interactive presentation detailing the rich culture and heritage of lion dancing. I don't know what lion dancing is, but I'm sure it's
not a type.
Lion.
Lion. I don't think it's a typo because it says it 2 or 3 times. Don't just witness the dance, become the heart of the lion and lead the parade in this high energy, hands-on cultural experience. Again, registration is required. So those, you don't trust me? So,
I think it's related to the Lunar New Year.
thanks, Smith. Mitchell.
Oh,
Okay, and finally, I just want to mention, we talk about these in any given ordinance, but we, the Borough of Bradley Beach, have a lot of capital improvement projects going on. I may actually drop one here, I hope I did not, but I'm gonna add one that I just thought of. But I just want to make sure the world knows, so we've got a lot going on and it's all really good, exciting stuff. Varying levels of completion, some of them barely started, but number one, rec center. We've done a lot of renovation there already, we've repaved, the puddling has gone away. We've resurfaced, I should say, and we will be lining pickleball, tennis, basketball. Sylvan Lake, we have crazy amounts of work, kind of on the docket, on radar, in various stages. Some are just beginning, some have not yet begun. But we're repairing the outfall pipe that's been going on for a while. That's like a $3 million project, give or take, largely funded by grant funding. We are repairing the gate at Sylvan Lake, we'll be repairing the bulkhead at Sylvan Lake. The gate is a roughly $700,000 project. The bulkhead is a couple of million to get folks in order of magnitude. Grant funded for the bulkhead as well. The outfall, did I say outfall already? I think I did. The promenade extension, our boardwalk, we're gonna extend it south. We are working on timing of that. We hope to solicit bids probably a May timeframe.
We're waiting for the capital permit.
Okay, but when we get to that, that is roughly a $4 million in grant funding. And that will be extending the promenade south. That is also a very significant resiliency effort because that is a low part of Bradley Beach. So we are subject, and our residents are subject to ocean surges that may, get beyond the dunes and the bulkhead, the current ocean lack of bulkhead. Councilman Nowicki today talked about sewers. We are in the middle of, or early stages of, but contractors are there now working on the bathrooms at what will be bathrooms at what was the old sewer pump station near the children's playground on Ocean Avenue. They are filling in the vaults that were, big empty rooms that housed sewer pump equipment. They've removed the equipment, they're filling those in. We can't have sinkholes, so they need to be filled in. They are also, I believe, doing demolition work to, wipe out the old interior to facilitate men's bathrooms, women's bathrooms, and a concession area. And finally, the last one I could at least think of top of my head, we are in the very early stages of Main Street. We have close to $3 million in grants already awarded, 2.9 million to be exact. And we have planning that's been commissioned and largely completed by CME, our engineers. And once that planning is completed, we'll be able to start to actually create some of the renovation work. ADA compliant sidewalks, pavers, streetlights, benches. We engaged the BBBCA to help work with us on the benches. So basically, a lot of stuff going on. I haven't tried to add it all up, but it's probably $10 million of grant funded or close to grant funded activity, if not more. So a lot of really good stuff, largely not paid for by our taxpayers. So we're very excited about all of that. I'll tell you, it's a bit of a challenge managing it all, even with engineers helping. And that's why I'm thrilled that we have the council we have, because all of these folks at one point or another have dove in and helped us keep these things moving along. So that concludes my report, but before we move to public comments, I want to give you a heads up. After public comment, we are going to go into executive session. We're going to discuss and vote on a resolution that will likely be appointing new concessionaires at our Second Avenue concession. I see them sitting in the audience here, and you guys have been waiting very patiently. Bear with us after public comment. We will hopefully be in and out, probably 15 minutes of some discussion we want to have. And then we'll put that to a vote, but more to come on that. Right now, I'd like to move to 14 on our agenda, opening up to public comments and questions on any item you care to discuss. Yes, Mr. Bartholomew.
Bartholomew, 116 Newark. Just a quick question, to Council President DeNoble, the time of that June 10th,
Yes,
what time is that starting?
4 p.m.
4 p.m.
till 7 p.m.
You had him at DJ, Jane.
Oh, okay, that's great.
That's it, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Mr. Cohen?
Thomas J. Cohen, 12 Third Avenue. I just wanted to thank Mr. Cannon and you, Mayor, for your follow-up on the submissions that I sent in regarding the change in form of government. Your responses were excellent, and I know it was brought up tonight by another member of the audience, and people are watching, and I think it's important that we move forward. But thank you for your interactions. I'm hoping that after the budget is completed, that we can have the time to really dive into it. But Mr. Cannon's responses were excellent, and hopefully we can work from there. I did have another question for Mr. Cannon, and I want to let me rephrase that, to Mayor Cannon.
I love the mayor here. Get so many calls to that already.
How is your Bayshore area handling the real? I mean, you have some coastal tidal lands in Aberdeen.
We do, but almost all the housing, save two, it only affects 2 houses in Aberdeen Township.
Okay.
Because the beach area in our town is called Cliffwood, because it was a wooded cliff. So the houses are really like, they're 20 plus, almost all of them. Like, for example, during Sandy, our public infrastructure down below, like we're in the tidal and our beach got washed out, but we're really like all the houses are built on the cliff. So they're pretty high.
Pretty high up. Okay, great.
So it's not that much of an effect. But I mean, everything you guys talked about here is true.
And I had a question for Mr. Doherty. Mr. Doherty, you negotiate a lot of contracts, but how come your contract didn't get you St. Patrick's Day off?
He forgot to check the calendar before he signed.
I guess not.
I'm a very poor negotiator.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Cohen, thank you. Other comments or questions in the room? I see none.
None.
I see none on Zoom, so we will now move to item 15 on our agenda, which is executive session. And in that executive session, we will discuss resolution 2026-101. Which I'm sorry, 102, which will be the bid on the Second Avenue concession. So I'll make a motion that we go into public session.
Second.
Ms. DeNoble? Yes. Ms. Greenblatt?
Yes.
Mr. Park?
Second.
Yes.
Mr. Nowicki?
Yes.
Mayor Gubitosi?
Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, anyone who wants to remain, by all means, you feel free to leave. We'll probably be 10 or 15 minutes. We will be back then to vote on resolution 2026.
Can we all go to Erica's office?
No.
It's nice to be
Mr. Mayor, I have a vacation. Thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy your vacation. We'll see you soon.
All the same company.
Yeah.
How much of it?
Well, usually those things. Look at, look to.